Here comes the judge. Thank God it's only temporary. I'll probably give it back to you, Commissioner Russell, pretty soon. This is not what you want to do. It's a little hot potato, right? So today's special meeting has been called for the purpose of discussing the implementation of a new scooter program for motorized scooters in the city of Miami with updated safety measures, and to take any and all actions, including the adoption of any pertinent resolutions regarding the same. The members of the City Commission participating in the special commission meeting are Commissioners Ken Russell, Commissioner Joe Carollo, Commissioner Manolo Reyes, newly elected Commissioner Christine King, and myself, Alex Diaz-La Portilla. Also appearing, but he walked out on me to go to a more important meeting, apparently, is Art Noriega, but we have Ziri in his place, City Attorney Victoria Mendez, and of course, our City Clerk, Todd Hannon. The meeting will be opened with a prayer by Commissioner Manolo Reyes. For a prayer, sir, because you're the best at that. Please stand.
Please bow your heads. Lord, first of all, thank you for everything that you have given us, including the opportunity to be in this board representing our people. Yeah, please, Lord, guide us into doing the best for our people and making the right decision. And also, Lord, I'm praying that you receive Ms. Meek, Carrie Meek, receive it as she deserves. She was a representative of her people, a great friend, a great mother, and a real proud member of her people. Thank you, Lord, and please receive her as she deserves. In the name of the Father, the Holy Son, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Son, amen. Amen.
Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by newly elected Commissioner Christine King. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners. Madam City Attorney, please state the procedures to follow during these meetings.
Thank you. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with the related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. Any person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of this code section about lobbyists is available at the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the appropriate disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to Section 2-8 of the City Code. The material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless modified by the chair. The public comment will begin at approximately 10:30 and remain open until closed by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to the elected officials and city administrations throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider the comments prior to making any decision. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open during the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials up until the chair closes the comment. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall, located at 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all city rules as they may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. The city has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, a public support, opposition, or neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.01144C Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have been generally briefed by city staff on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision from the City Commission may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting can be requested in the Office of Communications or viewed online at www.miamigov.com. This meeting will be viewed live on Miami TV, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77 for City of Miami residents. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you.
So you took half my script. The ending is mine. Yes, that's okay. We'll fix it next time. If there's a next time. So what we have a discussion item 1. Zero, you want to walk us through what we're proposing today?
Good morning, Zeri Ihekwaba, Deputy City Manager. Back in October of 2018, the City of Miami established the specialized scooter pilot program with defined delineated areas of the Central Business District, especially within the confines and jurisdictional area of District 2 for the pilot program. The pilot program had been paused for a number of times due to COVID requirements, and we've gone through a series of extensions. Supposedly it was supposed to expire sometime early this year, but it was extended again till, as we know, that the City Commission acted at the last City Commission meeting to entirely stop the program. So based on the extensions on the COVID mandates, if the City Commission were to reinstate the program today, we'll be looking towards, I believe, January 5th, 2022 as the final date for the expiration of the program.
January 15th or January 5th? 5th.
5th.
Okay.
And also in terms of revenue stream that had come in, based on fiscal year 2018 to 2019, the city received revenue of approximately $450,000. And for fiscal year 2019...
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized.
Yes, could you please repeat, thank you, Chair,
On the revenue?
and the revenue?
So fiscal year 2018 to 2019, the city received approximately $450,000 in revenue.
For what?
450,000, 450,000.
$450,000. That's a revenue that the city has received?
In that fiscal year 18 to 19.
19, right?
Yes, sir. Fiscal year 19-20, we received approximately $1.1 million. Fiscal year 2021, approximately $760,000. And in this current fiscal year 21-22, we've received $166,000 for a total of $2.5 million revenue. However, the city had spent approximately $1.3 million out of that 2.5, with a balance as of today of $1.1 million.
And the 1.3 is for the 1 million for the bike lane, that whole debate that we had?
Yeah, we transferred $1 million to Miami-Dade County.
Right, we gave Miami-Dade County $1 million of our money,
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any additional question, Commissioner Reyes?
No, that's from, what is the net amount of money that we had received? 4.3?
What we have in the bank as of last week is $1.1 million.
1.1 million left.
Yes, sir.
That is for the period from 18 to 21, right?
To 21 as a balance, net.
1.1, because part of the revenues were passed to the county.
To the county for the construction of bike lanes
Construction of bike lanes
on city streets.
and safe streets. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
what will the money be used for, the revenue?
So the ordinance that established the pilot program clearly stated that it's meant for the use of establishment of bike lanes, improvement of sidewalks, and I believe there are some administrative costs that needs to be absorbed, and all this within the area of District 2.
And that was part of the big debate that we had, right? Whether it's actually construction of, remember Commissioner Russell? Whether it's for bike lanes or sidewalks and all within District 2.
Yes.
All the improvements will be within District 2. And that's another debate we're gonna have,
Yes.
you know that, right, as we move forward. This will be beneficial to the poor areas of our city, not just District 2, which is the higher end area of our city. But because people, at the end of the day, are only gonna use scooters in those areas that you represent. Well, I'll recognize you in a minute, let's finish the point. So that's gonna be a debate that we're gonna have. And then I also will clarify with the city attorney in a little while about the difference between what we're doing today between a resolution and an ordinance, right, as we move forward. So do you want to continue? You want to have any questions, Commissioner Russell? You have any questions?
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, you're recognized, sir.
No, I just wanted to clarify what Zeri said about the ordinance during the pilot program. The wording says, during the duration of the pilot program, the motorized scooter fee shall be designated for sidewalk area, or street improvements within the pilot program area. So it was never meant just for District 2. The spirit is, wherever the program is operating, that we're improving the streets. Basically, the program is self-funding its own improvements to function better, more safely. The less potholes on the road, the less chance of an accident of a scooter. The more bike lanes, the less chance of an accident of a scooter. And I was always open to expanding the program, which would also automatically expand the funding. So it wasn't about just District 2. It was wherever the pilot program was happening, it was wherever the funding was intended for.
Mr. Chair, if I may be wrong, but when we extended this program, I didn't agree to have it in my district, or neither did Commissioner Carollo. But you said that you wanted it in your district, remember?
In certain parts of my district, we talked about
A part of your
the health
district.
district.
That's right.
and-
Yes. Did you receive any funds? Your district received?
Not a dime.
Not a dime, right?
That's why we're gonna have the conversation.
I'm just.
Why are you poking me on a Monday? This part of this is the beginning of a conversation.
Listen, if the funds, it was only where the pilot program was taking place.
Yep.
Well, some of those funds should have been directed into your district that needs a lot of sidewalks and a lot of streets.
I think the distribution of funds should be citywide, and that's the debate we're gonna have. And
I'm just bringing a point.
Yes, of course.
Making a point,
You're
answering
making,
what he says.
yes, but I think that doesn't matter where the program, first of all, the program will take place in the places that the companies feel that they're gonna make up money on, right? They're not gonna do it in Flagami, they're not gonna do it in Alapata, because no one's gonna ride a scooter in those areas, right? So it's gonna be downtown for special events and things of that nature where micromobility is needed. So because you represent, Commissioner Russell, a district, that's a district where all the events take place, it's the better off part of our city, then there should be some redistribution. You will love this, you're a Democrat. Redistribution of wealth is a really good thing for you guys, right? So the whole county, the whole city should be getting its share of revenues for street, sidewalk repairs and things of that nature. So I think that at the end of the day, maybe not today, because today is a different conversation. At the end of the day, we're probably gonna have a conversation about the funds going throughout the city and being split throughout the entire city of Miami. But that's a different conversation. You're recognized, sir.
Did the program ever get extended outside of District 2? Because there was discussion of some parts in Wynwood Design District, there was discussion of the Health District, but I don't know if it ever happened.
It never happened.
It never
It
happened.
never happened, and we have a new commissioner, which will,
Well, Mr.
you're
Chair,
recognized, Commissioner Keen.
I've seen scooters in my district.
Yes.
On the Upper East Side, and, so I
And
don't know
in mine,
how do you keep it just in District 2, or how do you say, well, you can't ride? Because I've seen the scooters in my district.
The whole geofencing concept doesn't seem, well, we have some representatives from different companies here today, but this whole geofencing thing doesn't work, or maybe they haven't implemented the right technology to get it to get there. Because I think when we halted the program, interesting, Commissioner, when we halted the program, all of a sudden, all these technologies that never existed exist. Maybe it's coincidental. But all of a sudden, we're talking about helmets, and we're talking about, you know, slowing down the speed when you go into a sidewalk, and you're talking about better geofencing and all these things that actually exist. It's just obviously companies, and I think they're all good actors. I don't think they're bad actors, but obviously companies are here to make a profit too, right? They're not here to lose money.
Commissioner, if I
So at the
may.
end of the day, I think that, I'm
Commissioner,
sorry,
if I may.
if I may finish.
Okay.
Thank you. Remember, you're only acting city manager today. But I don't know what happened to the other guy. I know, where did he go?
I think he had a conflict in schedule.
Oh, a conflict in the schedule, okay. So more important than being in a commission meeting. I get it, all right. So the idea would be whether these new technologies will work to create a better program, and that's a debate we're having today, right? It's kind of like we're re-implementing or implementing a new program, or bringing it back on a temporary basis to allow for some special events that are taking place, like Art Basel and others, that really do require micromobility, because there is a need for that, and we understand that balance that we're trying to find. But all the safety measures that are going to be put in place exist in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. The companies simply have not wanted to do it here because the commission, the government, has not required them to do it. So now the government, which, you know, sometimes has to step in and say, hey, we need these safety measures because we're concerned for our citizens. That's why I've always been in a place that it's been difficult for me to find the balance between micromobility and safety. And how you find that balance is the conversation, part of the conversation we're going to have today, and we'll continue to have, I think, as we move forward to the RFP, expedite the RFP, have them issued, and then it comes back to us, Commissioner Reyes. All this comes back to us. And we can implement whatever we want, no matter what the RFP, what the results are, it comes back to us, and we say, hey, we want to add this to it, we want to add that to it.
And I'd like to
You're
add.
recognized, ma'am.
I'd like to add that I think it's only fair for a program such as this to benefit the entire city of Miami with improvements and not
Yes.
one particular district.
There's no doubt that there'll be the will of the commission at the end of the day. My gut tells me, because again, we don't have the ability that we had in Tallahassee, Commissioner Reyes, to have conversations before the meeting, to be able to sit down and talk about things. So we have a sunshine law. So we can't. So the sausage making takes place in front of everyone, and everyone gets, you know, sees that that's kind of ugly, but it's not. It's just that we can't do it privately like we do in Tallahassee or in Washington.
Mr. Senator, you might recall where the legislature.
I was one of
once-
them, yes. I was only one guy, yeah.
I mean, the legislature
back then-
that established the sunshine law, but you don't have it
No,
among yourself.
because back then we wanted to rein you guys in, but now it's different because I'm in a different role now.
Well, we should start lobbying. So because I think it's stupid. The legislatures, they can talk among themselves and exchange ideas, and we cannot even say hello.
And in Washington too, the same thing.
Washington, too.
Everything is done
That's
before,
right.
before the fact, but,
That's
well,
right.
but you know, in the interest of open government and all that. But I think that my sense will be that the majority of this commission will want to spread that wealth throughout the city of Miami. Because the reality is that we still live in a very poor city in many parts, and we have to benefit other parts of the city. And so, you know, Commissioner Russell, you represent a very well-off area, but you need to share some of that with the rest of us in Alpata and Tlagami, in Overtown, Liberty City, and other parts of our city. But you know that.
It's the entire story of the funding of this city. And I believe it's changing. I think District 2 has been the financial engine for the entire city. But I believe as we see development growth throughout the city, each of the districts is going to be generating its own tax base. But I agree. I do disagree that the program is intended for special events or for tourists to get around. The primary goal is anything
No,
that...
the extension, I'm sorry to interrupt. The extension of the temporary
Understood.
extension of the program for now is intended for these reasons that are happening now. But the RFP is to expedite that process so that the city, the administration issues creates a permanent program that is for micromobility across the city as we move forward,
Yeah.
especially our downtown areas. But the reason why we're having a special commission meeting is to do it for now.
Got
right?
it. If I could just finish,
Sure.
my point was, though, that I do believe you'll be surprised. If the market were allowed in your district, I think you would have users in Alapata who would enjoy this as a way to not have to use their car, not have to pay for gas, do short commutes, and I think you would see use. You might be surprised, and it would generate revenue in your district as well. But I'm certainly open to however we look forward to the permanent version. This pilot has been the learning process to get us here. The rubber meets the road on the permanent program and how safe
sir.
it is, how equitable it is, and how many people have access to it,
Yes.
both the funding and the use of the program.
Commissioner King, you want to say something?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you
go
did.
ahead.
Commissioner Reyes?
Well, you know how I stand in this, you see? And I disagree that this has had in the whole city, had a great effect on people using the automobile less. I think that the main users of this, as I've seen around, are young people and people that use it also. I have even seen parents very irresponsible that they have a 2 or 3-year-old riding with them, and they do it for pleasure, not for need. You see, I cannot argue, and I would not argue that certain areas, particularly on Brickell and Biscayne, and in downtown Miami, that some people will probably, if they live in one of those buildings in Brickell and want to go to an office that is a couple of blocks away, will use it. But this concept, which is, it is, you know, one thing that really admires me is that we go and we get these catchy words from all over the country. The first and last mile. I mean, from my house to the metro rail station is more than a mile. And if I'm riding one of those things, I could be killed. You see? And my problem with it.
And people used to walk, remember?
And people, which is more healthy.
That was what I do.
That's right, it was healthier. It is healthier. You see, because, it's contradictory, as I said when they first brought it here, that we are promoting healthy activities and exercise and all of that, and now we don't want a person to walk a couple of blocks. You see, we're providing them with this. My problem with this remains the same. And I don't want them in my district because what they do is mostly clutter the sidewalks. They make the sidewalk very dangerous. We have in the city of Miami a population, a senior population, which is huge. If one of those vehicles collides with a person, it could even kill it, because if you are going even at 10 miles an hour, if it is reduced, it is substantial speed to hurt somebody. A person, just listen to this. A person runs probably 13 miles an hour, right? Between 12 and 13 miles an hour. And if you watch football, you see, American football, of course, how many times a defensive back has hurt a receiver when they collide with a receiver at full speed? There's even football players that they are paraplegic because of that. Imagine a person that it is frail, that is run by one of this. Imagine a person of friends that I have that live in Brickell, that they young couples that they just had the first child, and they are walking. They're strolling in that sidewalk, and then the man he has told me he has to be always in the lookout for one of this, because the worst thing that happened about this is, and it happened to me at Coconut Grove, that once they get on the sidewalk and or whatever they get and they're riding this, they feel entitled to the right of way. And that is a big problem. Another problem that I have is that we don't discuss here, what we're saying that all the revenues, well, I have heard my dear friend Commissioner Russell claim all over the place in all the press, they has provided $2.3 million. Well, it is $500,000 a year. It is not $2 million a year, okay? It is $500 million a year, $500,000, that's all that have been provided. But in exchange for that, I have here a list of, if I can find it, a list of 10, right here. 10 lawsuits for the city of Miami in which we have been named in that lawsuit. And most people know that the companies, they are holding us harmless. And that was something that I stressed from day one. They should hold us harmless. Thank God that I did that. Because if not, we would have been in a bind now. But this is 10, Madam City Attorney. These are only the lawsuits that name us as part of the lawsuit. But I would like to ask from the owners of, or the people that are in charge of these vehicles, if we might call it, how many lawsuits you got? Because this is, we have 10 name us as co-defendant. But you know them well that most those people, those attorneys, when they come and they say, oh no, the city has been held harmless, we cannot go against the city, but I'm going against the company. I don't know how many are they. I don't know, I wish I would know that. We don't have that number because we were not named on it. But I'm willing to bet that it's going to be substantially more than 10. You see? That's a big problem that I have. It's nothing personal. I know that it's a business. It's a business. It is not, they are not operating for the good of the people. They're operating because they're making money, and more power to them. Hey, listen, I believe in free enterprise, you see. But I personally, I am a different type of business. I'm a business too. My business is to protect the people. Their business is to make money. My business is to protect the people. And I don't want to, I will not make a decision that someday I might read the paper and I will have to say, damn, I should have voted that way, you see. And if you want to stand it, you got the votes, stand it. But anyways, we're going to have, we have an RFP that we will have to deal with this again in a couple of months. You see, all of this, and I don't hold my punches. I don't hold my punches. All this claim that we want to extend it now because of a number of tourists and all those people are going to come, that's, in my opinion, that is not true. We want to extend it because they want to keep on making money. And they have put pressure.
Well, no, look.
You see?
No,
because
no.
using that argument, if you want to stand it, just go right ahead. I'm going to keep on voting no, and I don't want it in my district because the day that one of this,
Commissioner, the reason why we're implementing safety measures is because I share a lot of your concerns too. So what we're doing really is not only because of the special season, maybe I didn't finish my thought. It's also because we're testing all the safety measures that the companies themselves want to put in place because we're going to demand that they do so.
Okay,
part of the reason what we're doing is everything from helmets onto speed limits, onto liability issues. I'm sorry, but we're trying, and that's why I want Zeri to sort of finish
But let me finish. I haven't
Okay,
finished
I'm
yet.
sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Continue,
let me
I'll
finish.
recognize you, Commissioner.
You see, I have the memo here.
Yes.
You see, I read the memo. I saw all the safety measures. Okay, they cannot go faster than 10 miles. Okay, you can regulate that. They have to be older than 18. How are you going to do that? Because now that safety measure was adopted. And believe me, they are not, I mean, you go to Coral Gables.
We're going to stiffen the penalty to the companies if they rent to anybody under 18.
Okay.
When they have to pay
Okay.
$1,000, they're gonna be careful.
Meaning, all of this, I only have one question. Who is going to enforce those measures? Who is going to be out there, policing the companies? Who's gonna be?
Well, ask our police chief.
Okay, Mr. Police Chief, and Mr. Chair, after he finish, I have a couple of questions.
I'll go back to you, sir. Absolutely, yes, sir. Go
Also,
ahead.
Chair, I have a question.
Good morning. Good morning,
You're
everyone.
recognized, and I'll go to you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Manny Morales, Interim Chief. That responsibility will fall upon us, and the picking up of the scooters after the violations are issued falls on the Miami Parking Authority.
Okay, question.
So the Miami Parking, is there any representative from the Miami Parking Authority here?
I don't see them, but they're the ones that we contact when we have either a violation or an issue, or we find a scooter outside of District 2.
Well, that's another issue. That's interesting. I did not know that. I thought that you guys had the ability, you guys being the police department, had the ability to also implement some of these policies. So you don't have that ability. You contact the Miami Police, Miami Parking Authority. Is that the way it works?
Correct, and then they
We
pick them up.
may have to address that issue then as we move forward. And I'm going to let you finish your thought, Commissioner Reyes, because you have your, and then I'm going to recognize you. Don't worry. I just want to
Okay,
not to interrupt him.
Do you have a budget for those, an estimate of how many man-hours you're gonna need to enforce this, and how many officers you're gonna need? And you will have to take officers from one activity to the other in order to enforce this, because if we need, and that represents cost, there's no free lunches. There's no free lunches. I mean, everybody that tells me, no, the government gave me. Government doesn't give a thing. The taxpayers give it to you, okay? Everything costs. There's a cost on everything. Now, if you are going to divert police officers from patrolling or from investigating from robbery or for whatever into policing this, well, that would have a cost. That cost, Mr. Chair, should be deducted from the revenues that we have. Then we are not receiving what we should be receiving.
Chair.
We did this before. And before, when those measures were implemented, the famous corrals, you see, the famous, provision that no minor will be able to rent. All the provisions that they have to stay in the sidewalk. They couldn't go on the street. All of us. And you must remember that those provisions, they were detailed in order to expand or extend the pilot program, right?
Yes.
Okay? We couldn't do it. We couldn't. We still have the street litter. We have the minors riding it. We have even competitions. They rent it. They go to there's certain areas and they compete with this. You see? I mean, this is going to take a lot of money to enforce if we're going to have a police that is, and I'm not talking about Miami Parking Authority because I don't have anything to do with the budget. But this is going to take a lot of manpower, you see, and manpower means dollars and cents, okay? And those are parts of the, and I will say no more, those are part of my objections and why I will vote No, and let's wait. I would say, well, let's wait until the RFP is decided, and let's see if we have answers of who's going to police it, how much it's going to cost, what are the consequences, because you see, there are other cities that they allow them to be on the street, and from what I see, they don't have the traffic we have here. You see, they don't have the traffic we have here.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to clarify something.
And thank you very much. Now,
Thank you.
I rest my case.
Yes,
I
sir.
would say no more. My vote is no.
And a good case you made, by the way. Commissioner King and then Commissioner Russell.
Chief,
Been waiting. He's here.
aren't you understaffed? The force is understaffed already?
So we currently have about 88 vacancies on our table of organization. We're allotted for, I want to say, is 1398, and we're at around 1305, 1304. So we have some vacancies that we just had a recruitment drive and an opening, so we'll be processing to hire new officers, but we are about
Understaffed.
about 100 short, yes.
So how would you enforce this if you're already understaffed? Because with the new hires, that takes months of training, they have to pass the academy, et cetera, and we are trying to implement this in real time. So how do you anticipate enforcing this with the staff that you have already? And
So, Commissioner, frankly, we've become masters of doing more with less as we've gone through certain struggles here in the city financially that have impacted the department. But I wouldn't advocate for a dedicated team to look at this. It would just be a responsibility that falls already on our traffic units, which would be the individuals that ride motorcycles that are specially trained to handle any type of traffic infractions, the same way that we
You
do
would
with
handle
policing
you
bicycles.
would handle any other traffic infraction, right?
I mean,
Aren't you
every
already-
patrol, every certified
but aren't
police
they
officer is
already
able to handle that,
stretched
yes.
thin? Aren't they already stretched thin?
Well, the motor unit, we do have 2 openings. We have 18 officers and 3 sergeants for the whole city. But we're augmenting those numbers, but it would be a function that would also fall on our patrol officers to enforce as they see the violations
So now
occur.
you know how I feel when you don't recognize me? Now you're recognized, Commissioner Russell.
Oh, so
You see? What's
Power
good for
of
the
the
goose
chair.
is good for the gander, Commissioner.
I'd like to make several corrections,
Yes, sir,
please.
you're recognized.
And so the program was never designed for the police to be utilizing their resources for enforcement. We actually created a mechanism which needs some oversight because it's not working as intended, but I think the structure of it was good. The Miami Parking Authority receives $25 per scooter that they pick up off the street that they see in the wrong place. Imagine the revenue that they could be creating just by doing the job that was created for them.
Right.
And I originally told them, hire who you need because you will have the revenue source to do this. I don't want this to be on the shoulders of the MPA, but they have an army of meter maids out there anyway. So the idea that anytime they saw one, and at first they did, they had trucks, they were picking up, they were impounding. That revenue source alone was meant to reduce the clutter, but the MPA has not taken on that charge for whatever reason, because the 2.4 million generated does not include that. That's supposed to be an additional source just for MPA to help with clutter and pickup. The question of enforcement over safety was another story where the police have kind of stepped back because they have a no-chase policy. They're certainly not going to chase a kid on a scooter through traffic. How we deal with that, we're also hoping through financial incentive and penalty to force the scooter companies to self-regulate, but it hasn't worked. I will be the first to admit that the clutter issue and the underage riding issue has not worked in its current form, but the structure is there to do so. And then to correct Commissioner Reyes, it isn't generating $500,000 a year. This is the second year of the program, pilot program, cumulatively, not including the delay, the pause periods. It's 1.2 million a year. This is not nothing. This is something that's been generated that we didn't have before.
Point of
So we should at
information.
least admit that it exists.
Point of information. Then our dear friend Zerich has, your numbers are wrong. Because if it is top 2.1 or 2.3 within a period of 4 years, and when I was teaching math, if you divide 2.5, 2 point something millions into 4, it's about $500,000. I don't know if it's a new math that is going on around here. But that's the way that I was teaching it wrong. If we're going to follow your numbers, you see?
So, Commissioner, if you recall what I had said to Commission, is the aggregate of funds that had come in based on registration fees. There were the vendors paid the city from inception to date. And I gave you a breakdown based on each fiscal year, what we received. The first fiscal year, we got what I said, $450,000. The second year was $1.1 million. The third year was $760,000. And the current year, which is simply 2 months old, we've gotten only $166,000.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind the reduction after the second year of operation was because of the COVID era, when we
Absolutely.
stopped the program.
Absolutely,
Revenues
but the
dropped.
total is
$2.5 million.
2.5 divided by 4. How much is 500 and something? I mean, I thought that I learned math.
The, Ziri, why don't you go ahead and finish what we're doing today in detail, so we interrupted you?
So,
And then we'll be able to have a debate on all the details of the whole program after that.
I just want to vote and get out of here.
so based
We're gonna get out of here by lunch, don't worry.
So the city
That's the goal.
The city commission had actually directed a change in policy, I believe in 2020 and 2021, that made us to make some changes in terms of the agreement for safety implementation, safety measures that were put in place. Additional measures are being considered today, which the administration has sent out a memo last night, more or less capturing what other municipalities are doing nationwide. There are some great best practices that we propose to incorporate in the program moving forward. Cities of Orlando, cities of Atlanta, and some other numerous cities we mentioned prohibit the use of scooters on sidewalks. That's number one. So that's worth consideration. Another option is to recommend either a requirement or an encouragement that scooter vendors and also the users have to consider the use of helmets to protect themselves in case they get into an accident.
The problem with what you said right now, that's not what I requested, okay? It's not an encouragement.
Well, I said either a requirement or an encouragement. That's the language I use.
Right, so-
So it's left for the commission to dictate and direct what they
Well,
prefer.
obviously, but what we had discussed with what I discussed with the administration and with the city attorney's office as well, were the details of what has to happen immediately. And the real question is whether the companies how quickly they can implement these policies, right? Because if they want to start operating effective tomorrow, right, or the day after tomorrow, right? How quickly can they do a helmet requirement? How quickly can they do the speed requirement? How quickly they do some of the safety measures we put in place? Or are they going to come back to us and tell us, oh, we can't do it, and then let December come and go? Really? So that's a practicality of what we're talking about. If we can pass whatever we want to pass, there's a whole bunch of representatives from different companies here.
So if you recall back in, I believe it was in September of this year, the commission had required a reduction of operating speed
Yes.
to 7 miles per hour on sidewalks.
Yes.
So the question is enforcement. There is no mechanism in place for them to ensure that folks who use their scooters are complying with that requirement.
How many representatives of companies do we have here that operate scooters in the city of Miami? Do we have any here? Okay, so we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's a whole bunch of people. I figured nobody else would be here, right? But I didn't know so many. So this becomes the issue. Will you guys have helmets required effective the day after tomorrow? Yes, come on. You want to come up? Let's open public comment. You want to finish? Ziri, do you want, hold on.
I'd like to push back on one thing Zary mentioned, though,
okay,
before we go on.
Commissioner, if I may.
Yeah, but go ahead and finish,
Yeah.
and then we'll open public comment, I think, and then we'll take it. I think it's important that you represent what you can do and what you will do, so we can make a determination whether we want to do what we want to do today or not.
Good morning, Commissioner. Jorge Conforme with Wheels, one of the operators in the city of Miami. We could comply with a helmet requirement as soon as you give us the green light.
You will comply.
We could.
Okay. No, we're not having a, ma'am, this is not a debate. This is not a public debate, I'm sorry. This is just so people
The
come in.
question was
You
the
want to say
helmet
anything, you come up,
requirement.
yes.
The question was the helmet requirement.
Yes, sir.
Be able to comply
Thank
with
you,
the helmet.
thank
How
you.
would they do that?
Zeri, how quick, I'm sorry,
How would he do it?
how will you do it? You have disposable helmets and
We
all
have
that?
a helmet equipped device.
That eco helmet,
We have a helmet equipped device that in order to operate that device, you unlock the helmet that is included in the device. And the helmet comes with a biodegradable film inside. So
Right, so the
basically you're not-
styrofoam, right,
Yeah,
right.
so that no one is using anyone else's.
but you're not gonna have helmets on one side of the street and the scooters on the other side,
No,
right?
no. The
It's-
device is equipped with.
For
the helmet.
individual use, right? One person, one helmet.
Right.
Right?
Well, it's one helmet with biodegradable
Inside.
linings inside that are disposable so that, if a subsequent user must use the helmet, you're
And
not
did you-
using someone else's
And did you guys
helmet.
come up with this technology, like when we halted the program last week to now? All of a sudden, you came up with this new
well,
thing?
no,
or
that was
you were always able to do it, right?
Yeah, and, but the thing is, we would be required to basically deploy this fleet of helmet-equipped devices so
Right.
that we can comply with it. But do we have them? Yes, and we'd be able to
have
do it
them.
as soon as you give us the
Is there
green
any
light.
other company? I'd like to hear this because I'm.
Question for him,
I'm
though.
sorry, you're recognized, Commissioner Russell.
Thank you. How would you enforce, though, that someone is using the helmet if it's a man?
You must unlock the helmet in order for you to be able to ride the device.
Okay. You
Thank you.
cannot ride the device unless you unlock the
Yeah,
helmet.
exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, ma'am.
Vivian Mercedes from Helbiz. So they're a sit-down scooter. They're a different form factor, so they're different than the other vendors. I can speak for ourselves. We would be able to implement that, but it would take some time to adapt our scooters. But it is possible in the future. We just wouldn't be able to do it in 2 days' time. But they have a different form factor which allows it to be included already.
So we won't allow you to operate then. So you get left out of the mix. You're okay with that, unless you figure out a way to do it quicker, right?
Yeah, we would have to source the helmets and find a safe
I
way
mean, it's a
to
will of the
attach them.
commission.
The problem is that we'd have to find a safe way to attach them to make sure they're not a deterrent or a safety hazard for riders and that it was secured properly. So that would be a concern to make sure that we're doing it properly.
And what I'd like to do, any other company representative from different companies here?
Chair, I'm sorry, can I get the speaker's name again?
I'm sorry, your name, ma'am? No, you can tell us on the microphone, ma'am. Yes, your name and who you represent.
Vivian Mercedes from Helbiz.
Any other representative from the companies? Some of the vendors? Nobody wants to say they're gonna do helmets here, or you guys want us to vote it down? It's up to you, right?
Hi, I'm Ignacio Giumas. I'm the CEO for Bolt Mobility,
Good morning.
and we can do the helmets, but the problem with doing the helmets is making sure that they are easily available, and then also the enforcement would be taking a picture before you start riding that shows that you have the helmet on.
So what's your time frame for doing
We
it?
have the helmets available. It's getting the helmets onto the scooters in a way that is not intrusive. So I would
So what's the
say
answer to the question? What's your time frame?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, again, I'm sorry, can I get the speaker's name? I couldn't hear.
You have to give your name, I'm sorry,
Ignacio Giumas.
Ignacio. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, question for the
Yes.
city attorney regarding helmets. I believe there's a state law preempting municipalities with regard to how they regulate scooters, that they must treat them like bicycles, and that the current law for bicycles is a mandate for helmets for those under 16, but not for above. Are we preempted from mandating helmets?
If we were to mandate helmets, it would have to be an ordinance. It couldn't be by reso or anything like that. So we're still doing the research to see if we are preempted, or it could be under our home rule with regard to helmets, but you would need an ordinance. It could not be
Well,
under.
that's why we're doing
our
both today.
present-
That's why we're beginning the process of doing an ordinance and a resolution, right? Reso and an ordinance, right? We didn't have the 10 days to notice for ordinance for the next December 9th meeting, right?
Right, so if we did an ordinance, which we don't have the exact draft today, it would have to be first reading today with a second reading.
Right, which what I
Not on
requested.
December 9, it would have to be in January
Correct. That's what-
9th, I believe is the next.
What I was requesting was that we do both for that reason. But I don't believe that we can be more, I believe that we can be more restrictive in what we do in a reso. based on the state law, which I've read, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right, we're still doing the research on the state law to
Right.
see if we are fully preempted or it could be under an ordinance.
Right.
That's what we're trying to figure out with regard to adding a helmet provision. Because arguably, we could be preempted, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, yes, before we have another representative, we'll go back to you, Zeri, don't worry, we're not done yet.
I just want to clarify on the
you're
helmet
recognized.
issue, right?
Yes.
The city of Orlando, Florida has a language that says use of helmet is strongly encouraged.
Right, I know, I understand that's why you said it, right. But that means that unless we get a commitment from them in a contract with them, I guess, right, that they're gonna do it, right? They can contractually obligate themselves to do it, right? Can they?
If they would agree, arguably.
Well, of course, yeah, it's a contract, right? They would agree. So, let's see, do you agree?
Well, what I was going to say is you asked whether it was feasible or not. Jose Felix Diaz, 2 Alhambra Plaza. I work with BIRD. I'm a registered lobbyist for BIRD and have been involved with the program from the beginning. And in that course, we have distributed thousands of helmets in Miami. So conceivably, people that already have helmets, and there are thousands of them in Miami, could start riding as early as tomorrow. Now, a greater number of helmets would have to be distributed, and we'd have to come up with a plan to give helmets to more people. But there are a lot of people that have helmets in Miami-Dade already, and you could also bring your own helmet, right? It doesn't have to be a BIRD scooter helmet. So if people want to ride with a helmet, or you ask us to ride with a helmet, we have the capacity immediately to have people use helmets.
Yeah, BYOH, right? Something like that.
I mean,
But you
as
have
a
the
rider-
disposable, you have the disposable helmets, right?
Yeah, look, as a rider, I would prefer
disposable
to have my
materials.
own. And the helmets are not terribly expensive. We're not giving away $50 helmets.
Right.
They're helmets that do the trick. I have a couple of my own, and I've used them myself. I prefer not to use them, but if that were the mandate of the city.
Mr. Chair?
I'm going. You're recognized, Commissioner.
Yes, you're talking about helmet. You're going to, you're going to give the helmet, or they have to buy it
No, we've given them for free.
for free? And wow, you're giving it for free. You think that helmet is going to, a person that is riding at 10 miles, because you're going to riding at 10 miles an hour, and it's going to go head first against the pavement, that helmet is going to protect it?
It's a pretty good helmet.
It's
At 10 miles
yes.
per hour, if you got into an accident, I believe you'd be more protected than not having a helmet.
Well, more protected, but it's going to be protected.
I'm not a helmet scientist.
You see. Well, the thing is, I don't want to, in top of the danger, I don't want to give the riders a sense of false security, because I'm still using the point of references, the bicycle, the helmets and the bicycle helmets that we buy for our kids, and we buy if we ride, they are not that inexpensive, that they are not made out of plastic, because you give them a little plastic to put on top of the head, that's not going to protect them as you want to protect them. So be very careful with that, because
Understand? I'm just saying.
even any type, you go skiing and you buy a helmet, it is very sturdy, and if you will hit, unless you break your neck, but if you hit something, it's not going to break and it's not going to hurt you, okay?
Well, yeah, I understand there's no such thing as a perfect helmet for this scenario, but I would like to point out in the state of Florida, you could drive a motorcycle without a helmet, and the helmets that they do have for motorcycles can't protect a 50-mile-per-hour accident. So, a helmet can make it safer. It does not make it perfect. And I think that the whole point of the program, the micromobility program, is to get people out of cars. And every year, there are millions of people that die in car accidents, and nobody's wearing a helmet when they're in their car.
Heart attack. From heart attack, a lot of people die from heart attack. People die from heart attack, and a lot of people fall on the bathtub too. You see, but the thing is that you don't push people so they fall, or you don't. When somebody, has a heart ailment, you do everything that is possible in order to avoid that heart attack.
Of course, I agree.
Look, there's a balance. everything in life is about a balance. There are pedestrians, there are older people, there are younger people that need micromobility. There's a balance. And what this commission or what any government tries to do is to find that balance. And that's what we're trying to do, that's all. So, no, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to everybody in general. But look, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find that balance. Because we have to have, I always tell people that I like to have like one foot in the new Miami and one foot in the old Miami. I belong to both in the way I've lived my life, right? And I think that it's important that we find that balance. So micromobility does matter. It does matter in places when you're stuck in traffic for 3 hours and trying to cross over the Brickell Bridge. That matters. And you got to get from a job to another job. Now, it also matters that some kid who's 14 years old, because before scooters were a micromobility mode of transportation, they were a toy. Remember? Many years ago. And kids sometimes see it that way still. And parents sometimes see it in today's parenting world. Here, take the iPad. Here, take the moped back then in my age, right? Or take the scooter. And that's what we have to try to control. So government comes in to provide safety for people and security for all its residents. Not only for a small part of its residents, a small section, but for all of us. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's why when we moved last commission meeting to halt the program, was because there were concerns, because I believed, and I still believe, that the companies were not doing enough to address the safety issues. I believe that now they've come to the table and they're beginning to address those issues. Helmets is part of that conversation, as are other things, right? And we'll continue to have it. I also believe that government moves very slowly. I've always said that from the moment I got here, in issuing an RFP and scoring and getting to a permanent program. Where there's a place for scooters in Miami. There's no doubt about that. But how we regulate it, how we protect other citizens and other residents is important too. And that's kind of the debate we need to have between now and, by the way, Commissioner, it'll continue. The debate hasn't ended. This is the beginning of that debate. Today we're going to do something, perhaps, we'll have the will of the dais, but we'll continue. There'll be an RFP on January 15th. I think Zeri's going to complete what the actual resolution does, and then we'll take it from there.
I agree with you. Then why we are here? Then let's wait until the RFP comes in. I mean, why we're here? And let's
We're here
address
to
those.
mandate.
Hold on a second, sir.
I'll tell you why we're here.
And let the process take place, and then all this, conditions that have been taken here. If there is a place for scooters in Miami, it should be a limited place where they are effective. In Flagami,
That's what we're doing, right?
You say, no, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we are backstroking that. Well, what we did is, okay, let's close it because now we have this problem. And we have an RFP that already is going to be analyzed which company they are going to be chosen. Now, if those companies, let's let it, take its course. Those companies that are going to be chosen, they have to come up with measures of security, what they're going to do it, where they're going to. We have to decide if people, the commissioners agree, where they should be implemented. I don't believe that this is, scooters, there's not every single neighborhood is a place for scooters. And I don't believe that unless we have an enforcing mechanism that is going to cost money, any of these measures are going to be implemented.
Yeah, well,
because listen, it is like that old saying in Cuba, ese perro ya me mordió una vez. You see, that dog bit me once. When we came here and all of those measures were implemented.
There's a new dog.
It's
a different dog.
You say so.
So, no, I know so, because, look, what we did by halting the program was shocking the system and forcing the government, the administration in this case, to issue an RFP on a timely basis and to have this conversation during an interim period about how we implement safety measures. So change is coming. You can't fight it. It's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. The question is, do we regulate it? Do we provide safety measures to ensure that other parts of our population is safe and more secure? That's the only debate we're having here. So the reason why, let me finish, please. It's my turn now.
Sure.
The only reason why we're doing it is to provide the additional safety measures. The enforcement, that's part of the conversation. MPA enforces additional police officers, or the same police officer stops somebody from speeding is going to stop somebody from not wearing a helmet, the same way they do it now.
The only,
So it doesn't matter. The problem is that scooters are being implemented throughout the world. It's going to happen in Miami too, because Miami has to move
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Now, how we regulate it and how we do it and how safe we make it, that's our job. That's the only argument.
I'm not discussing anything. I am not discussing that. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is, I know the change is coming, but change for the sake of changing, it is not, I mean, you know that it doesn't work all the time, okay? And sometimes it is negative. Now, what I'm saying is this. We have an RFP that is coming. Now, what you're doing here, what we're doing here at this, what we're doing is saying, okay, now take these measures and safety measures, promise that you're going to do it, and go back out there and start renting. That's what it is?
No.
That's
There's
what
a
it is?
first step.
When this is going to take place?
That's
When this is going to take place?
Well, it's the first step. The companies have been put on notice that they're going to have, the safety requirements are in place. The resolution says that. Now they know what they need to do. Three of them already said, and others that I've spoken to have already said they're going to do them. Because if they don't do them, you know what happens? We don't pass a law. When the RFP comes out, it doesn't matter. We have to pass it. This commission has to pass it. So if they don't do what they say they're going to do, they're done.
Commissioner, I'm only one simple vote.
I know.
As you see.
But a very important vote for me.
Oh,
I think
everyone's
you're
here.
fine.
But I'm just a vote. I have my belief and my conviction, and in a clear conscience, I cannot vote for this.
I know.
That in every place without an enforcing agency in certain areas, if it's going to be used in certain agency, and also that enforcing agency has to be properly funded. I don't want our police to be leaving their post and chasing. Hey, listen, people are breaking traffic laws every day and they don't give them a ticket. How do you think that they're going to go and they're going to see a scooter going down the street and they're going to give a ticket? I have seen people taking it. I'm telling you, Mr. Chief, I have seen people running a red light in front of a police officer, and then the only thing that they do that they look at it and they don't do that. How are we going to expect that they are going to be chasing a kid that it is riding in a scooter? How? You see,
same way
we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic. It costs money. If you're going to do it, let's have the proper enforcing agency or the enforcing force fully funded. Who is going to fund it? Where the money is going to come? Because it's going to cost us money. It's going to cost us money. It's going to cost the taxpayer money.
We pass laws all the time that cost money.
Okay, well.
And we have enforcement agents, and we stiffen penalties for all kinds of violations, traffic infractions, and that happens all the time. There's nothing new. That we, seatbelt laws, all sort of laws that we pass on a regular basis in Tallahassee and here that have penalties. So people, you have to have a penalty in place, a stiff penalty in place, so people abide by the law. The enforcement agency is the same agency. Votes that.
But what are the penalties?
Doesn't need additional personnel, additional money.
Okay.
Of course not. For example, the police, you'll hire an additional police officer for a seatbelt primary violation. If they're speeding, the same guy who gives you a speeding ticket gives you a seatbelt ticket. It's the same police officer.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect, we have the memo here that says there's going to be fined $250. I mean, everybody here, but a couple of people are in favor of this because they work there. You are in favor of doing it. He is in favor, and I don't know how Ms. Keene is going to vote. I mean, why are we just arguing back and forth?
We're not.
Let's
just
vote on this and go home.
Let's recognize Commissioner King then. How about that?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to say that we do have to be thoughtful in our deliberations with this program. And I understand micro-mobility, but profitability cannot be a deciding factor on how we keep our communities safe. I am concerned, I would not be in favor of any program that does not require helmets.
I agree.
And I would go a step further to say that riders should have some form of training. No matter how old you are, if you're getting on this scooter for the first time and you don't know how to operate the scooter, you put yourself in danger. I saw a young lady in Midtown who was well over 18 on the scooter fall and bust her derriere. She didn't report that she was injured. She was. She didn't report that she was injured, so we don't have the statistics to say how dangerous this program is or how dangerous, it isn't. I know with the rental of jet skis, you have to take a training course, you have to, you have to provide your driver's license and all kind of measures. Because one, the jet ski companies don't want their jet skis to come back damaged. In addition to, the rider being harmed. I'd like to revisit what Commissioner Reyes asked about the lawsuits and the city being held harmless. Can that be enforced? Because the city is, after all, deep pockets. So if I fall on a scooter and I hurt myself, of course I'm going to sue the city because it's a program in the city. So could you address the lawsuits that
Well,
Commissioner
we have
Reyes
sovereign
referenced?
immunity also, right?
Right, well, the issue is on, we have a contractual, we have contracts with these companies that they will hold us harmless and defend, so they have been handling these lawsuits, and we have not paid out anything. So it is a contractual obligation. If not, we were not going to enter into this program. Even though Commissioner Reyes voted against it, he definitely grilled me on the fact that we needed the hold harmless and provisions, and that's how these have been handled. The city has not paid out anything on these claims or handled the lawsuits. They are being handled by the companies.
But what if I'm on a scooter and I fall as a result of the sidewalk being
They
in
still
disrepair?
have to, they still have to handle it. It was a full coverage, hold harmless.
Okay.
They're completely responsible for everything.
Just making-
That
I
that was
just
a
wanna
very
make
important
sure.
component for me too,
Right.
by the
I
way,
just wanna
Commissioner.
make
For me, that
sure.
was very, very important when the first deal came out. That was very important that we contractually obligated, that they handle all that. Commissioner Russell, you're recognized, and then we're gonna allow Zeri to finish, which I interrupted like 10 times already, right, Zeri?
Yeah.
Sorry.
My question is for Mr. Hikwaba, though. We haven't had any fatalities in the city of Miami on a electric scooter, correct?
I would defer to the city attorney on that.
Okay,
Chief of
I
Police.
believe we would have heard of it. My understanding, we have no fatalities in the 4 years.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, now, I have a hypothesis that part of the reason for that is we do allow scooter riding on the sidewalk where there are no bike lanes. And my concern is, you had mentioned earlier a recommendation, other cities have no sidewalk mandates, that if we force scooters only in the streets, that we may actually see fatalities, because that's where the fatalities are going to happen. And that's why it was a hard decision at first to create a hybrid system where they would be allowed on the sidewalks, and we're trying to figure out a way to reduce speed on sidewalks, et cetera. It's technologically difficult. But until we have a safe bicycle lane infrastructure, I would not be comfortable with saying street-only use, because I believe we will have fatalities. And that also then lends itself to the speed limit issue. We've got them down to 10 miles an hour. Anything below that, they're actually unstable to ride. There's a certain...
Is there any scientific evidence to that?
So if
Because
I may,
yes, sir, yes.
we already require, I believe, 7 miles per hour
Of course.
on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but my point is, especially in the street, you want them to be able to go with traffic if they're in the street. And if they are too slow, one, they become a hindrance within traffic, but two, there is I've been testing these since they came out. And as under a certain speed, you lose a certain stability. And so there is a safety element in keeping some of that speed limit up on the streets, for sure. So I'm just saying, as we're trying to make it as safe as possible.
But what's the empirical evidence to that? I mean, where do you get 10 versus 7 versus 8? Where do you get that?
So we incrementally reduced the speed limit, and we did tests, and my staff even went out and did tests with the companies as we reduced to figure out what that sort of sweet spot was. And the scooter companies will tell you as well. It's not up to
Well,
them.
they're going to tell you as fast as
No,
possible.
they don't want it as
They're not.
fast as possible. They want to continue a program, and if there are fatalities or people are having an uncomfortable ride,
Well,
they're
actually,
gonna push against it.
actually, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. It's in their best interest to make sure the program is safe, except that sometimes government has to push you to do it, to make it clear that you have to do it. But of course, it's in their best interest because they don't want a fatality and they don't want an injury, because if they do have that, then their program, goes south. So obviously, there's an incentive for them to get it right.
Mr. Chair, this point
Yes, sir.
is
Yes, sir.
information. I have here a report by UNC Highway Safety Research Center. There are 53 fatalities here in the United States. 53 fatalities. You see, we haven't had one yet, but we had in Tampa. You see, they were in Tampa, Washington, Chula Vista, Austin, San Diego,
Yeah, but-
Santa Monica, Tulsa, Nashville, Atlanta. You see, Tampa again. You see,
Sure.
we have, and this is, you see, that is why I am so concerned about safety issues, enforcement, and all of that. You know why? Because I don't want to vote for something that, or for a program. And although we drive every day, yes, sir, we drive every day, and people get killed every day. And unfortunately, this is what we have. Let's not add fatalities. That's my point, you see? Let's not add fatalities. This is what I don't want to, I don't want to vote for something that
I think-
has the potential.
I think you made your position very clear.
Well, they are, I'm just saying that he said there hasn't been a fatality. Yes, in Miami, there hasn't been.
It doesn't matter.
But there have been
Miami, but
fatalities.
There's fatalities all over
the state.
on all kinds of stuff. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you. My name is
We have
Grant.
public comment open, correct? Is that correct, Todd? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Teach me how to chair, because I'm not sure how Miami chair works.
No, but it was good to reiterate to everyone in the chambers that the public comment period is now open, so they may approach the podium.
You're recognized, sir.
Thank you. My name is Grant Stern. I reside at 425 Northeast 22nd Street. I'm a resident. And I'd like to bring up the three words that have been entirely missing from this debate, which is quality of life, residents' quality of life. I would say that this program has been mishandled by the commission, excluding Commissioner King, she's new. It has been mishandled by the commission since the beginning, specifically by its greatest champion. I went to a meeting with the senator, and we were at 50 Biscayne, and he was telling us about the benefits of geofencing while we watched people on the
The
wrong side
senator
of the
being,
geofence.
which senator?
I'm sorry, future Senator Russell.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Every time.
And he was telling us about the benefits of the geofencing program and how it would prevent people from riding in parks while we watched maybe 50 riders that were in a park from the window during the meeting. And I hold Commissioner Russell to his own words from that day, that there are three things that are needed for the scooter program to be effective: safety, rider education, and dedicated lanes. We have none of those right now. And it's unfortunate. But on the flip side, they have managed to fix some of the problems by slowing the scooters down to 10 miles per hour, by putting stickers saying that there are fines. I don't see any problem with the police enforcing any of these laws, because frankly, they're not very efficient at enforcing quite many laws. And I'm not the only person here that has watched a car violate a traffic law and then drive away. It just happened to me this weekend. So I think that there's arguments on both sides, but what I'm really disappointed in is the city's handling of this whole situation overall. You know, pulling the whole program without any comment and then having us all run out here today for comment. Why? Couldn't this have just been done in the regular course of business? It would have had the same effect. So I think that it's something that belongs in the city of Miami, but it needs to be looked at more carefully. And I really want to see more of a focus of quality of life. I never hear those three words from anybody sitting on the dais. And that's really all we care about as residents. The old program eroded our quality of life. The new program is a little bit better, but it could still use a whole lot of work, but it does belong in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. Sir, you're recognized.
Yes, good morning.
Good afternoon now.
Good afternoon at this point,
We made it to lunchtime.
I'm going to go read from a prepared statement that I had this morning, just in response to it appears Commissioner Reyes is looking to head out and make this make this vote happen quickly. So I just wanted to put a little bit of a statement out there. My name is Pablo Manuel Munoz. I'm the service mechanic for Lyft Scooters here in Miami. I'm here to speak in support of the city's electric scooter program. First, my work is important to ensure the safety of the scooter program here in Miami. As a service mechanic, I am responsible for making sure that every one of my company's scooters is safe for riders. From before they are deployed to when they come back in for checkups, I help develop and oversee a detailed triage process and an all-encompassing quality control inspection. But also importantly, my work is critical to helping the people of Miami move around in the city in a sustainable, low-impact, and efficient manner. I am a graduate of Palmetto Senior High School and Florida International University. As a student, I rode my longboard or bicycle all 8 years in a city not designed for bikes. Now as a citizen, I ride my bike or use public transportation every chance I get. There are many people like me that either choose to take alternative mobility modes or just don't have that option. The scooter program has really helped the almost 40% of our riders that don't own or have access to a car carry out their daily tasks like commuting, or running errands. Many of these riders combine scooters with other modes like transit and walking. And with this mix, they're able to get by in a city that has historically prioritized cars. Thanks to your leadership, this program can help Miami transition into a city that the future we want it to be. One that is affordable, accessible, and sustainable, and will continue to be one of the most diverse places in the country. I urge you to please re-implement the e-scooter program so that hundreds of thousands of Miami scooter riders can have their mobility choice back. And personally, so that all of us can get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good morning, actually, or afternoon.
Afternoon.
2 minutes in the afternoon, Commission. My name is Zachary Patterson. I live at 729 Northwest 2nd Street in Little Havana. I'm also an engagement manager for Bird Rides, but I do want to remind everybody that we are not a bunch of Californians. We do live in the city of Miami, and we are your constituents as well. And I am also in favor of re-implementing our pilot program here in Miami. Although we are employed by these companies, we are residents, and we expect our government to make good decisions for us. There are two major concerns that I have with our ending of this program. The loss of this pilot program means that fewer of us have ways to get around the city. More of us have to drive in cars, pollute our town, and the city of Miami is going backwards and not forward in its effort to modernize. In fact, the Miami Herald found that over 4,000 Miamians, 80% of respondents wanted the program back on the city. Those are constituents in all of your districts. However, a temporary reduction in this program's ability for us to have mobility in the city is not the only detriment or not the most stark. Over 150 Miami workers in your districts lost their jobs when that decision was made. These are people who had to go home and tell their husbands and wives and kids that they didn't know if they were going to pay rent in December. They don't know if they're going to have presents under the Christmas tree this year, and they don't know if they're going to be able to pick up their medication. Some of us had to have those calls and tell people that their jobs were not going to be in the city of Miami at this time. There's very few decisions that people can make in government that can impact people's lives in one day. And today, each of you have the ability to ensure that 150 Miami workers have their jobs back for Christmas. Please make that decision today.
Thank you, sir. You're back. I'll give you another couple of minutes. You're recognized.
I had some prepared comments. Jose Felix Diaz.
In deference, because you were a former colleague. A former colleague, Tallahassee, what can we do? We'll give 1 minute. 1 minute. 1.5, okay. You get 1.5.
I'll speak quick. Jose Felix Diaz, I've been involved with this program from the beginning, and I could speak to some of the things that you mentioned. Commissioner King, in order to ride the scooters, you do need to have a driver's license. And there's actually been a lot of investment into technology. From when the program started to now, millions of dollars have been spent to make these scooters safer. And if you look at the responses that every one of these scooter companies did, you're going to see that there's a lot of things that they can do to make them even stronger. So instead of having a one-time scan at the beginning of the application, if you want to have kids not ride scooters, you can make whoever's riding the scooter scan their ID every time they ride it, and that will increase the likelihood that the kids won't ride it. Commissioner Russell touched upon the fact that the early stages of the program involved sidewalks. That was statutory. The state of Florida specifically allowed and said that scooters could be ridden in sidewalk areas, and that's one of the reasons the program started that way. And I do remember early on, Commissioner Russell had concerns about certain parts of the Grove not having sidewalks or sidewalk areas or bike path, and the fears behind that. But, 4 million rides later, we've seen very few accidents. And Commissioner Reyes, you mentioned, not adding more fatalities, but what has happened here is a lot of rides have switched from car rides to scooter rides. And the numbers show that there is a way to do it safe, and there's a way to make it even safer. And there's no way to quantify if maybe some of those rides, if they had been a car instead, might not have been a car accident. Because when you're going 70 miles per hour or 60 miles per hour in a car, the chance that there's a horrible accident could be worse. I'll finally leave off with this, which is whatever you do today, the only thing I ask is that it not be something that's immediately injected into the RFP process, because we're going to be testing all these new safety measures to see if they work. And if they don't, we'll come to the table, you'll come to the table, and together we'll come up with a solution that will work for everybody. But just know that we are ready to work with you and make this the safest program in America.
Thank you, Representative. You're recognized, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. I'm a nobody,
Everybody's somebody here,
a
ma'am.
resident who is 110% with that gentleman sitting there. My name is Desiree D'Souza. I live in the downtown neighborhood, Mr. Russell's district, District 2. The amount of fatalities that are unreported, I know. Let me tell you, sir, not only are the scooters a hazard to us, but the people here who pick up those scooters are on the Riverwalk. Non-vehicular traffic, opposite direction. My building is right there. There are kids, there are dogs. Let me tell you, sir, I come here with heart. I don't come here with the thought of money. His point, zero safety. If people in Miami don't wear a seat belt, you think they're going to ride a scooter with a helmet? Please, sir, understand this. I work with the police. I worked with Ken Russell's office. My niece arrived, this is personal. My niece arrived from New York City, was bashed down to the sidewalk. 5'8". The kid was 12-year-old. He was a 12-year-old. They threaten us. They threaten our dogs. They threaten everything. Like he said, they believe they have the right of way. That's all I'm here to say, is think before you'll think of money. Where's the safety issue for us? We are paying the taxes. We are paying the taxes. Do our taxes go down? No, they only go up. Are you guys paying for the medical part of the people injured? Y'all are not. It goes back to them and it comes back to me. It comes back to me. And I'm addressing everybody in this room because I have no fear.
Thank you.
I'm a clean resident, never had a parking ticket in my life. There is no regulation in Miami-Dade. If they cannot regulate traffic, if the MPA in the Intercontinental Hotel is allowing double and triple parked cars, where are they going to regulate a scooter? Where? Tell me. Please, I beg of y'all, get these things off. They're a menace to society, so I'm addressing you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm just asking one question. Where is the man of micromobility, Francis Suarez? Where is he?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. You're recognized.
Dear Commissioners, my name is
Put the
Dr.
microphone closer to your mouth, please.
What's that?
Microphone closer to your mouth.
Is it better?
Yes, that's okay.
Dear Commissioners, my name is Dr. Uri Eisenberg-Weinger, and I have been a resident in Miami for the past 4 years, specifically in the Brickell neighborhood. I'm also a veterinarian and a small business owner, co-owning Wags Animal Hospital on Brickell Key. I say this to let you know that I have decided to set deep roots in Miami, myself and my family, and I only have its best interest in heart. I'm not here representing any company, and I have no dime in this. Additionally, this is the first time I come to a meeting of this sort, so I apologize if I make a Robert's Rules faux pas, and I also typed my notes so I don't forget anything. Above all, I want to thank you for considering having this meeting and taking the time to hear from individuals like me. I would like to express strong support for the e-scooter program in our community. They are a vital part of a Ford-developed city, and they bring a service to the resident that's no like any other. Micromobility programs such as this one is beneficial in numerous ways. Commissioner Russell, you have been an outspoken and a champion to our ecology and environment. Commissioner Reyes, you too, and you say that you're one vote. You're not one vote, you're representing tens of thousands of people. So your vote actually carries a whole lot of power. You too have been a champion of our environment with your solar tree and canopy, LED streetlight conversion programs, initiatives. And Commissioner King, your campaign spoke directly about our environment as well. The e-scooter program goes hand in hand with this. When considering the energy needed to move, a scooter is 1,000% more efficient per mile than the average vehicle. A 30-pound e-scooter takes a fraction of the energy compared to a 3,000 to 4,000 pound car or SUV. The CO2 emission of an e-scooter is something to be admired. A recent study looking at a 1-year lifetime of a scooter showed a combined 38.5 grams of carbon dioxide per mile, similar to that of a high occupancy transit mode, and a fraction of a gasoline-powered vehicle, which is about 143 grams per CO2 per mile. 1 kilowatt of energy carries a gasoline-powered car a little less than a mile. An electric scooter can travel more than 80 miles on the same amount of energy. E-scooters are efficient and beyond environmentally friendly. Commissioner Carroyo is not here today, but his 2017 campaign advocated connecting downtown Miami to the Brickell neighborhood. These scooters do exactly that. Myself, my friends, my family have taken the scooters countless of times to Silver Spot Cinema in downtown, as well as numerous concerts at the Bayfront Amphitheater. They have allowed us and many others to see and experience our city from a very unique vantage point. They have truly opened our eyes to our beautiful city and to places we may have not seen otherwise. An additional benefit of e-scooters is the fact they're efficient and they reduce city congestion. We already have a problem of vehicle congestion in our entire city. With additional high-rise construction, this will only get worse. Think about the influx of Lyft and Uber drivers that will be required to satisfy the needs of residents. Think about the increase of cost of using these services and the surcharges residents will incur if we get rid of the e-scooter program. Commissioner De La Portilla, you have been a champion of investing in infrastructure, parks, and cleanliness. E-scooters definitely go with that. Now, do we have problems with this program? Absolutely. Nothing is life uncertain, and everything we do in life carries an inherent risk to it. We must work hard on tweaking the program to perfection. The first problem we had was the speed which the city addressed, okay? Next, which I think is the main point from the naysayer, is the fact they take sidewalk space and that certain users just end up leaving them wherever they desire and often sprawled around. However, I would like to urge you guys to consider bringing the ball back to the companies who provide the scooters. If they want the business in our city, if they want to profit off of our community, then they must create an algorithm to combat both of those problems. Why can they not be forced to code a specific algorithm with specific parking spaces? Something similar has already been done. Have the company study our city in order to designate the optimal parking spaces. Commissioner King, you speak about a training program. It's very easy to create a video where a user can watch on the app prior to the ride, providing some guidance. Certain areas are blocked from riding, and I'm sure some guy or gal can code certain parking restrictions as well. Furthermore, what's the point of having user take a picture of the scooter when they're done with the ride? Service provider companies must monitor these pictures and fine users that don't follow the guidelines. Users can be banned for a certain amount of time if they're shown to be inconsiderate. The banning time can increase with each subsequent delinquency. Force the companies to figure out a solution to the scooters being left in the middle of the sidewalks if they want to use our city for business. Finally, and in order to encourage the service providers to create and adhere to proper guidelines, perhaps the city can fine, tax, charge the scooter company that violates our space. Put the ball in the company's hands. The solution to the problem is creating accountability. Okay? Accountability is key. Dear Commissioner panel, thank you so much for your time. Don't take this program away from people who use it responsibly, who enjoy it, who know how to use it, and thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you very much. You're recognized, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Myra Jolie. The prior speaker, if he likes the scooter so much, he just have to buy one and use it himself. The city doesn't have to provide for these companies to make money on the detriment of the residents. If the person has been living in Miami for 4 years, try living in Miami for over 20 years. Try, like me, being a Miami resident for over 20 years and working on Brickell Avenue for over 7 years. And now you're gonna tell me that in order for you to have a better life, the people who are the late comers, they are gonna be the ones calling the shots, or maybe the ones that are paying, giving the big donation so everybody can be sitting here in the dice. Why we are being convinced that if we vote, then our voices are gonna be heard. Or according to what I see here, the only people who have no interest in this matter are the residents, because it's only what, 4 of us? Everybody else we have a lobbyist here, and he speaks before us. We have people who own the mobility company, and they speak before us, the residents. But when it's time to vote, it's us the ones who have to vote, and you are the ones who make the money out of us. $2 million are coming to who? The city of Miami? How many of those dollars are coming to us? Are we gonna get a $2,050 public gift card during the pandemic so we can, for our troubles? No. And if so many jobs are being taken away because the scooters are not there anymore, tough luck. Find something else to do. There are many other residents that have lost their jobs, and I don't see any of you crying. So once the lobbies is sitting here and having a saying, none of you should listen to them, because they make money out of us. We are the ones who have to be living here. So if you guys want to just to please the person who's just having the company, we're gonna have another problem here, because as Manolo Reyes have said, we cannot change for the sake of changing. If the city is gonna change, maybe we should change all of your seats instead of changing just whatever it is that you think is happening in Miami. And Miami have to be with it, because what's gonna happen to us? All of you gonna give helmets to the scooter riders? And if there are 2 in scooters, you're gonna give them helmets too? But what about the old lady living at the 80 years old who walks there? You're gonna give them a helmet too? You're gonna give a helmet to us? You're gonna give a helmet to the residents too?
Ms. Jolie, thank
or
you.
what?
Thank
Or
you.
what? You guys go to Washington, and then in Washington you talk to the lobbyists, and the lobbyists tell you what you have to do here. This is not an exercise. This is our life.
Thank you.
Manolo, you're gonna have to take charge. These people are not gonna do it. They are not gonna do it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Jolie. No applause, please. Good afternoon, sir. You're recognized.
Good afternoon. Andres Altawe, 1900 North Bayshore. To the best of my ability, you all know, I try to represent several thousand residents, mainly Omni and Edgewater. And I hear what they say. And the experience that we came from is 2 years of very bad experience with this pilot program. I had an interesting conversation with the mayor a few days ago, and he explained we're going to incorporate new technology to make it safer. And make it safer, sure, But we all know that with the development of the last few years, we have increased a lot the number of pedestrians. We have increased the number of bicycles, and now we have scooters, all of them on the sidewalk. If we're trying to improve walkability in the city, we cannot keep adding this clutter to the sidewalks. What I understand from people is they don't want them on the sidewalks. They don't want them littering the sidewalks, that they drop them just anywhere. Parking is an issue, walkability is an issue, and enforcement is an issue. You cannot divert police resources to enforce minor breaking of rules. And they should be enforcing more important issues than this. So we're not here to tell them, the scooter companies, how to fix this. They have to make it work. And the only progress we have had in the last 2 years is that now there are less. But they are not enforcing anything, and they should finance either I wouldn't trust the companies enforcing because they have promised that many times. They should fund a separate independent company to do the enforcement. Cannot be the police, cannot be themselves, because it doesn't work. It hasn't worked in 2 years, so I don't understand why they think it's going to work now. Now, the mayor said we're going to incorporate new technology. Sure. One of them that he mentioned is every scooter is going to have a camera that when they are on the sidewalk, they're going to slow them down so much that they are not going to be able to use them. Okay, good. And then what? Because that rider is going to want to continue riding, right? Are you going to put them on the street? Well, that's what people want. Believe it or not, the thing is, they don't want them on the sidewalks. They want enforceable designated parking areas.
Wrap it up, sir, please.
Yes, like city bikes. You don't see city bikes all over the place like you see scooters. So, to wrap it up.
Yes, sir. You passed me 2 minutes, sir. I'm being very flexible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
the
Go ahead,
companies
sir.
are going to have to assume responsibility. They haven't done that in 2 years. Now, why they're going to change now? What the mayor said, this is temporary. For me, that was very, very important. Because if we're going to accept any comeback, temporary doesn't mean much. It's very vague. You want it for Art Basel? Fine. But temporary cannot be just opposite to permanent. It has to be a deadline, and it has to be some oversight, probably from citizens. Thank you.
It's temporary to test some of the measures that we're, safety measures we're trying to implement into the program to see as we move forward with the RFP, what works and what does not work. That's why it's temporary in nature. We have an RFP process. They're going to come back to us. Everything comes back to this commission. All the safety measures, the slowing of the speed, the helmets, everything we're discussing today. Docking stations, I think he's going to address docking stations now, which are important, so they're not littered all over the district too. So all these things is part of the conversation that we cannot have in private, we're having in public. And we have the public input on what you're thinking, and we appreciate your input, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, you're recognized.
Hello, Commissioners. It's great to be here, and I'd like to first thank you and commend you for having this very spirited debate to how to make this program much better and safer for everybody. My name's Colin Roach. I'm CEO of SwiftMile, and we create docking stations for scooters, mobility hubs, places for these to park when they're done. It helps mitigate a lot of the issues that we're talking about here. We coined a term we like to say, we bring order to the chaos, and this helps address a lot of the concerns that we've heard here in terms of ADA compliance and sidewalks being blocked by seniors in particular that have strollers, but also it creates places where people can find these and know that there's always going to be likely a charged and ready scooter to ride. We're ready to roll. We're already here. We're working with Miami Parking Authority. We're already working with the building department with permits. We've set up an office here, so we're setting up routes, and we just want to say we're here to support the program, make it better, and we're ready to roll tomorrow if we have to.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. How are you? My name is Kevin Amazaga. I represent the Miami Riders Alliance. We're a nonprofit group advocating for safer streets and better public transportation here in Miami-Dade County, and that includes scooters. So for the last year, we're proud to have sponsored the first of its kind in the World Coalition of Micromobility Operators that has moved to actually self-regulate this program and facilitate communication between the operators. So prior to last year, operators kind of didn't really talk to each other, which was kind of a big issue, as we saw. There was a lot of clutter, there was a lot of difference in operations, and that's kind of changed in the last year. So from when this program started to where it is now, we've partnered with the city to actually introduce new regulations within the scooter program. For example, scooters are now limited to 12 miles per hour. That's not the same as the ordinance. It was 15 miles per hour. 12 miles per hour throughout the city, but that's actually down to 10 between I-395 and the Rickenbacker Causeway. And I've actually tested this myself. I actually went out to all the scooter companies and I have a GPS speedometer on my phone, and it's down to 10 miles per hour in the areas where it's supposed to be. So we're having a lot of great compliance with the operators. Back in May, we also actually launched a scooter reporting tool where residents can actually go in and report scooter violations. We fielded nearly 1,000 reports, and from those reports, which I actually personally oversee and release to the city, I have a few suggestions. So what I'm asking you to do today is actually bring back a better scooter program, and that means more dedicated scooter parking to get clutter off of the sidewalks, more micromobility infrastructure like bike lanes, and clearer language on who is in charge of enforcing these rules. More enforcement of parking in bike lanes, because every time I go downtown in Brickell, I see there's a car parked in a bike lane, which doesn't get people off of the sidewalks. I don't think anybody actually likes to ride on the sidewalks. I've ridden scooters and they actually kind of suck on the sidewalks. Everybody wants them on the streets, including scooter operators. And also a commitment to lower scooter fleet sizes in the near future with a permanent program. I think that's really key to achieving a better scooter program. In other cities where I've seen it work, that's worked. And what I would like to make clear to this commission is that ending the scooter program will not end scooter ridership in Miami. But what will end is a regulated scooter ridership. We can't stop people from riding private scooters at 20 miles per hour down a sidewalk. That's state law. But what we can do is regulate them on a shared scooter, and that's why this program is so important to this city and why I'm asking you to bring it back. We don't want people going out and buying scooters and running over a pedestrian because we can't do anything about it. So I implore you to make the right decision, and to us, that right decision is bringing back a better scooter program with shared scooters. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're wrapping it up, Commissioner. Don't worry. We're getting there. You're recognized, sir, again.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ignacio Jumas. I'm the CEO of Bolt Mobility. My address is 2995 Ruth Street in Miami. And we started this company about 4 years ago. We had it started here and headquartered here in Miami. I'm a strong proponent of us re-implementing this pilot program. And I want to point out that, when we first started this program, how much progress we've made in it. In the very beginning, this was a very, simple program, and now it's become much more robust. And so in the past 3 years, we've done so much, and I think in the next 3 years, we'll do so much more. With all this technology that is rapidly improving, I think that you'll see that we have the means and the capability to fulfill all the requirements that the city wants. And I would encourage them to bring that up in the RFP process, because in the RFP process that was brought up before, a lot of the issues that I heard talked about here were not in there. So I would urge the commissioners to redo the RFP process so that we can have this kind of cooperative moment between business and the city. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignacio. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Welcome. My name is James Torres, president of the DNA. Todd is going to pass out some information, and I'll kind of walk you through that. Back in January 2021, the DNA wrote a letter to pretty much everyone that's on this body today. That was 2 years ago, and we keep playing hot potato, excluding yourself because you weren't here, so I'm sorry. So we keep playing hot potato going back and forth. The DNA is not opposed, but we are opposed to the way the situation is today. So, as you go through this, we sent out emails to the community. These are their words that I represent over 2,000, as my counterpart to the right, Andres Antavi, kind of shared. But we're looking at it a little bit different. And we're saying as follows. We can call a special meeting on scooters, but we can't call a special meeting as it relates to flooding on Biscayne Boulevard. So I'm a little confused, but I know why we're here. We want to address a couple things that are important to the community: safety, quality of life. District 2 gets the grunt of all of these scooters. Downtown Miami, Biscayne Boulevard, Bayfront Park, gets about 40% of these scooters. There's 2,735 of them. If you're gonna vote yes, please, by all means, take them in your district as well then. Share the wealth, that's what we're talking about. Manolo Reyes, we stand with you. We stand with you because I remember almost 2 years ago, I reached out to your office and I said, please help us with the scooter. Let's get this safety issue right, the quality of life. That's the key to success. It's not about calling the program and saying, hey, let's look at this, let's look at this. We're looking at it from a high standpoint. The other issue to this, Mr. Dorportillos, please allow me to continue, appreciate it.
Sure.
Miami PD already stated that they don't have the resources. They're short-staffed. So we're gonna find something for an infraction of a misdemeanor. MPA is short-staffed too, when I have had conversations with them. So where is this gonna balance out? The key is balance, and you've talked about that today. Again, we're not opposed to it, but we're opposed to the way this program is today. The other caveat to this is everyone wants to be responsible in this room, but I asked a simple question. Let's call the city yard in which a lot of these scooters have been towed to, that they're still sitting there, over 200 of them. And the comment is, it's cheaper for us to keep them there and I'll buy another one. Is that the right etiquette? The answer is no. I kindly ask, with the representation of the DNA, if you're gonna vote yes, take the scooters with you in your district as well. Don't just leave them in District 2. But I also championed what Mr. Manolo Reyes says. It's not feasible because the quality of life and safety is the component. Thank you for your time today and happy holidays once again.
Happy holidays.
I'm looking for that Christmas gift or the Hanukkah thing, please.
It's
Help us
coming,
out.
it's coming.
Thank you.
Sure, sir. Any additional public comment? We're gonna close public comment now. Mr. Ziri, you wanna finish what the resolution does finally? And we'll get there?
So, Mr. Chair, we would love to include additional measures in terms of safety, some of which to take a second look on the operating hours of the scooter program. Right now, there's no hard and fast rule. Most of them operate during the regular working hours from 6 a.m., some of them up to midnight. We've looked at some other municipalities. They cap the operating hours at perhaps between 8 o'clock and 9 p.m. So we're looking at that as some measure that will be very good in terms of stemming the safety concerns that have been expressed today. Additionally, we are struggling with the current program being operated on both county road and state road and roadways that have more than a speed limit of 25 miles per hour, which is a potential concern for safety. So we may have to consider prohibiting the use of scooters on public right-of-way with posted speed limits greater than 35 miles per hour.
35?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
And between 35 and 45 and 25, you get hit in a
So-
scooter, or you're going 35 and you're going 25, what's the difference?
So most cities,
They're gonna fly, right?
most cities nationwide will not allow scooters in any roadway that has a
That's a
posted limit
national
of
model.
more
It's a
than
national- it's a
20 more
national
than
model.
25.
25, right. Okay.
There's,
Yes, you're recognized, sir.
I just want to clarify, the state very clearly prohibits, that's what I was told, unless there have been some changes, the scooters on the roads. They're allowed on the street only, right? Isn't that the law?
No.
Not necessarily, because Biscayne Boulevard is a state road within the city of Miami.
So they can be on the road.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That means that they can be on 8th Street, right in the middle of the road, and nothing could happen.
Well, I think
You have to just go around. I'm just asking
Commissioner, 8th Street is a little different. We do have an interlocal agreement with the State Department of Transportation specific to 8th Street.
Let's say on 17th Avenue. Let's say on Biscayne Boulevard. They can be riding on the road.
Right now, I don't think, my experience is that most of the scooters on Biscayne Boulevard.
Sir, excuse me. I'm talking about the law. The law. The law allows them to ride on the street. Does it?
It does.
It does?
Yeah.
So any rider could be, or a couple of riders, they could be very leisurely be riding on Biscayne Boulevard at any time of the day or in any one of our streets. I mean, just occupying a driving lane.
So, Commissioner, my understanding is that scooters are considered motorized vehicles.
Then
so they're allowed to apply.
The answer is yes or no.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know. So, on 27th Avenue, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there can be one scooter right on the middle of the right lane and another one on the next lane, and nothing, I mean, the traffic could be all backed up, but they can still, by law, they can ride on the streets. That's insane.
It's exactly the rule of a bicycle.
Commissioner Russell.
Thank you for recognizing me. The state law treats scooters like bicycles, and currently in this moment on 27th Avenue, there's a Sharo that allows a bicycle to share a lane with the car. So the scooter has the exact same rights as a bicycle. So we're not inventing any new hindrance here. This is what bicycles are already allowed to do.
Bicycles go faster to start with, and sir, we don't have bicycle lanes every place. And let me tell you something. Being as well educated as our drivers are, you see, because they are the best driver in the world.
Right next to New York, right?
Next to New York. I mean, New York, and I lived in New York, and I've driven in New York a lot. You see, our drivers, they respect, and they don't even park there. You see, they respect the bicycle lane, which is total, I mean, it's almost impossible to believe that, you see. So I want everybody to understand, and you guys to understand, what the problem that could create a scooter at 10 miles an hour going on one of a major thoroughfare, particularly, I mean, now we have peak hours is 24/7, you see, but during peak hours, the problem that we are creating, I just wanted to know, you guys, everybody to know that. Just think about it, and since you're thinking about solutions, I'm leaving that up to you. That you are going to fix everything that is wrong. This is going to be the best thing that ever happened since toilet paper, you see? I mean, everything is good, okay? So now, I'm just leaving you with that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Want to say something?
I'm ready to bring a motion if you're ready, sir.
Well, give me 1 second. Is there finished? Well, we're going to have a couple of questions for you first, and then I'll recognize for a motion, sir.
Commissioner, I think I've said quite enough in terms of recommendations for enhancements of safety.
All right, so let's talk about practicality.
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about what actually happens tomorrow. What actually happens tomorrow for the layman, of the group?
One action the commission can take today, which can be implemented the next day, is to cap the operating hours of all scooters in the city.
Have what?
To kind of state a limit to the operating hours. It could be from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 p.m. at night.
Right, okay. And we can also limit the number of scooters.
I think we've already done that. We've already capped it at 4 scooters per city block.
Yeah, but that's absurd, because 7 times 4 is 28. 7 companies.
No, that's not what the ordinance,
Well, that's what, I think we had this conversation before.
no, I think it's 7 per block max.
4 per block.
Yeah, per block. It's not 7 times 4.
It's not?
No,
That's
it's just 4.
That's what our city manager told me when I asked this question last time, that it was 4 per operator. Is that correct?
So the,
Any representative here from the companies? Is it 4 per block total? Total, or is it 4 per company? No, tell me, I can't hear you. Per vendor, so 7 times 4 is 28 per block. It's per vendor. That's a problem.
I stand corrected then.
Well, so I'm hearing two different things from the administration. Our city manager told me something, you're telling me something else. So let's get the right answer, so that I know what I'm talking about.
I stand corrected, Commissioner.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's 4
per block?
Per vendor.
Yeah, per vendor.
So that's 28 per block.
I don't think in most cases you have 48.
No,
We are
potential.
talking of practicality.
No, not, practicality was what happens tomorrow. The question now is a potential of 28 per block,
I think
correct?
this discussion can actually create new rules and regulations that can
Well,
be
that's what I'm
implemented
talking,
in next.
that's what I'm getting at. So we want to limit.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we spoke about. We have too many, right? So we want to limit the number of, a second, you already spoke, sir, but you ever clarify something? You'll come clarify quickly.
So the limit set in January by the city manager was 4 per vendor per road segment. It was not per block.
Okay,
So
per road
that's
segment, which is what?
Between 2 intersections, that includes both block faces. So for example, on South Miami Avenue and 8th Street between First Avenue and Miami Avenue, you can have 28 scooters in total between those 2 block faces.
Between what avenue and what avenue?
Between First and Miami Avenue and Brickell, for example, in front of Brickell City Center.
Yes.
The entire both block faces.
Both
so
sides.
in front of Brickell City Center and in the shopping plaza in front of it, both of those block faces
That's
can
crazy. That's ridiculous. That's
so
crazy.
it's 28 in total between those 2 block faces.
We're going to address that, so we can also limit that today, right? Or this is,
That's correct.
Madam Attorney, does our resolution allow us to do that, or do we have to go through the ordinance process?
no, the manager can do that.
Okay.
The only thing is, and you brought up a valid point, so you have to be very specific because the ordinance as originally drafted was like up to 100 per operator. So whatever you do, just think per operator.
That's what I'm asking, I think, right? So it's per operator, we have 7 operators. So how about helmets? What do we do with helmets?
The helmets would have to be through ordinance,
Right.
which you're not technically doing today, unless you bring a first reading, but you won't have any of that implemented until
But we don't
the
have to,
January meeting.
but we don't have to re-implement anything, right?
Right now, in the ordinance as drafted, you do not have helmets.
Yes, well, we want to add that to it, so.
Why would that need to go by ordinance?
Yes,
As the management reserves the right throughout the program, as stated in the ordinance, to implement additional safety measures.
As you brought up yourself a little while ago, state statute has certain limits.
Oh, because of the state statute.
So we
preemption,
would
it
have
need
to,
be done
we
by
would have to make the arguments that this is based on home rule. It's not 100%.
No, I understand, but it's not,
So it
but
would
it's
have
not
to be
100%
through
the
an
other way either. It's not 100% the other way
But it
either,
would have
so.
to be through ordinance, not necessarily
So
through
we
your
can direct the
regulations.
city manager to say they have to have helmets right now?
Here's what you could do.
Tell me what we
You
can do.
could have the manager mandate that all scooter companies provide a helmet with every single scooter. The creation of a mandatory ordinance forcing it,
It's
that would
something
be,
else.
that would be
Of
enforceable,
course.
would be something
It's
different.
something else.
But I
Contractually, they can do it, right?
If they agree.
Well, if they don't agree, then they don't operate,
And that's where.
right? It's a contract.
Right, but then that's where we might get into the difficulties of what an ordinance allows, right? So yes,
I don't think they're gonna fight us. My gut tells me that they're gonna be very compliant with what we ask them. What do you think? That's my gut. I mean, you got a 3-2 commission here on this one. Am I wrong? Representative, am I wrong?
Can I
Yes,
just ask a
ma'am.
quick point of clarification? Are you asking for helmets on every device? Or could we have a helmet selfie where an individual, as he had mentioned, can bring their own helmet?
Yes, as long
And
as,
that would
as long
qualify?
as the moment they get on, they have a helmet. I don't care how you do it.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh,
If we
okay.
could,
Yeah, as long as you get on, I don't care how you do it, but no one without a helmet. There's different penalties that
Thank
we, okay? Is that okay, Representative? That works for you? Okay, and for every other representative of different companies? Okay, so you know what we want to do, right? You know the intent. Penalties. What are we doing with penalties? Zeri?
So, Commissioner, the current penalty for violations of the ordinance has been placed at $250 per violation as a fine. If it's the will of the commission, we may want to raise that.
We want
It's
to.
a deterrent.
It is. We want to raise that to the company, right? The penalty to the company.
Yeah, to the company.
Yes.
So, I don't know what the will of the commission is.
I don't know. What are you thinking, Commissioner?
We cannot
500,
raise,
1,000?
we cannot raise that unless you do that per ordinance. We have a limit in the ordinance.
Okay, so, all right, so we'll do it next.
But we'll get that in the permanent version.
Yeah, no, but we're going to do a first reading also. I want to do both today.
Oh, you want to do this? 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
My suggestion, or I talked with the city attorney about this weekend, was that we simply pass a resolution rescinding the last legislation that canceled the program.
No.
And that would reactivate the pilot program. What's
No,
the problem with that?
The problem with that is that I don't like the previous program.
Right, but
Hold on a second.
That's why
I
I
didn't
made
finish
the
that. I
motion.
apologize.
That's why I killed it.
But combining that
I
with a
voted to
second
kill it.
resolution directing the manager for all the safety requirements.
I want the safety requirements in place now.
No, that's what I mean. Do it by resolution, what's
Yeah,
allowed by resolution.
We're doing a resolution, but we're also going to do first reading, and then between first and second reading, we can add and subtract as we move
Excuse
forward.
me.
So that we'll lose time, basically, let's finish 1 second.
Sure.
So that we'll lose time. As it is right now, if we're going to do first reading today, we have to wait till first reading in January, because we can't notice for December 9th, and then.
You could do a first reading December 9, and we could tweet first reading December 9.
I want to do it today, if I can, if it's the will of the body. I want to do first reading today, get that out of the way. Everything the same as the resolution. And we have additional things we want to add to it, we can do that.
But then you don't have a program for next week. If that was the whole
No,
objective.
there's two different things. There's a resolution that we have a program for next week. There's an ordinance to move forward. It doesn't matter procedurally how we do it.
Right, so you can have the resolution.
Yes.
Implementing the program back with
implementing-
certain safety.
With all these safety requirements, except the penalty that we cannot do because
Right.
we have to do it by ordinance.
Correct.
But we can
And then-
add that to the first, hold on. I gotta ask a question, though. Let me ask it. Then can we do a first reading, including the penalty phase, or we're gonna increase the penalties?
I would request that first reading, since you're adding helmets, doing penalties,
Sure,
all those
I told
things,
you last week.
I would request that be done, because there's no difference if you do it today
Right, because of the
or
notice
December
requirement.
9, because you still need the second reading on January. I think it would be
Well,
cleaner
the
to
difference is,
have the draft.
the difference is that we have the votes today. We wanna make sure.
I understand.
That we have the votes December 9th. That's what we
Right.
do in
You
politics.
only need 3,
We have to have
but-
votes.
But the better process would be to have the first reading on December 9th.
That's
So
fair,
that we
that's
could
fair.
put all the helmets, the penalties, you see the draft, we only have until tomorrow, but at least you will have the draft.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's a fair request.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reyes. and then
I just want to clarify one thing. Madam City Attorney, if we vote today in favor of the program, aren't we basically starting a new pilot program could last a whole year?
No, based on the ordinance that you
45
drafted
days.
about the limited pilot programs, this would only.
So January 5th.
Exactly.
Okay,
Only
no,
till
I
January-
just wanted to make it clear because, I wanted to make clear that we were not starting a new pilot program that could last,
No, sir.
that's a
No,
1-year limit.
Yes. But this pilot program is limited in time. Will have all these safety measures in place. Is that correct?
By the time second reading comes, the pilot program's over.
No, but we're gonna fix that.
So you're going to have a four days without your program, because
so
you will
we're
make January 9th
But
an
that-
immediate effective
But
date.
that makes no sense. Just take it to January 9th then. What's the point?
Unfortunately, based on all the calculations, if all the calculations are correct, you can only have it till January 5th due to, we have an ordinance that was sponsored by Commissioner Reyes, that pilot programs can only be
45
2
days.
years.
Oh, 2 years.
And this
But that's
pilot
why when I
program
spoke to
started
you-
in 2019.
But that's why when I spoke to you. No,
Chairman, I have a
well, hold on a
recommendation.
second. That's why when I spoke to you about the language, though, the title, though, we're doing the re-implementation versus implementation of a new program,
That's it.
right? You labeled it, you titled it re-implementation.
No, it doesn't matter what we
Well,
would have
it's
titled
a
it.
new
You only
program,
have 2 years.
But it's a new program.
It's,
It's a brand-new program. The other one's been eliminated.
right.
So we have a brand-new pilot program. So why do you say it's 2 years if we have a brand-new
So
program?
we only have, we have an ordinance that does not allow pilot
It's
programs.
a new program. It's a new pilot
We have
program.
an ordinance against it, unfortunately.
Against a new pilot program.
Right, so you will have 4 days without scooters, 4 days. 4 days, because you will make an immediate effective date on January 9th.
Effective date of what?
Okay.
I don't
So
understand
you-
why
you
this is
have
not a
to-
new pilot program, and we have new safety measures and new things.
So unfortunately.
Convince me of that.
Right. Unfortunately, we have an ordinance that only allows for 1 or 2 years, whatever. Right now, I don't have it in my.
It was 1 year, and I was a sponsor because we had pilot program that had been in place for 17 years.
So then we
As pilot.
calculated,
That's why I didn't want to label it, the title, sorry.
It doesn't matter what you label it.
Well,
Unfortunately, we
if-
have the
if
ordinance.
the resolution
in
is a
place.
new program. Let's say it's a
It's
new
not
program
a-
on medical marijuana dispensaries,
It's
on
not.
something else. It's a pilot program, it's brand new.
So if I may.
Yes, explain to me
We
what the
have an
difference is.
ordinance in place, sponsored by Commissioner Reyes, that does not allow pilot programs to last.
This is a different pilot program. What part am I?
It is not, it is still it's the same pilot
No,
program.
it's
on
not.
scooters.
It has all the new safety measures. It's a totally new program.
It's not a new program.
It's not a new program. Okay, I disagree with you. I think it
So-
is.
And if
If you're
you,
requiring helmets, if you're requiring additional penalties, you're requiring different things, it's a brand new program. The reason why we terminated the previous program, because it wasn't, in my opinion, with all due respect, it wasn't effective. It wasn't well conceived, not by you, but in general. It was a test, it was a pilot.
I have a recommendation.
And, but whatever, let's not go back and forth, it doesn't make sense. Well, 4 days doesn't really matter to me that much
it's
anyway.
4 days.
Chairman,
The 4 days doesn't matter to me.
potential fix, Chairman.
Yes.
So if we passed a resolution rescinding the cancellations to just open up the existing pilot program again, I would be open to an emergency ordinance for safety reasons to implement the safety measures that you would like
Right, which
on
is-
that current program.
which was-
So it would be a resolution reinstating the pilot,
you need a 4/5
for which part?
for the emergency
Yeah, for the
orders.
emergency. So we'll lose the 4 days. You guys can live with the 4 without 4 days. You'll move on.
If you can give me 1 second, I just want one calculation, just one
But we
second.
might have 4/5, because while we have a commissioner who's voting against the program in general, he may be in favor of an ordinance that implements safety.
I think it's 4/5 of the body. I think
Of
you
the
need
body,
4,
so it's gotta
but
be 4 votes.
Give me 1 second just to
That's not gonna
calculate
happen.
something.
Trust me. That's not gonna happen. Trust me.
Question,
Look, Commissioner, I'm pretty good at counting votes, unfortunately. That's not gonna happen here. We're good to go. Let's get this out. I spent many years counting votes, so trust me, we don't have that here. Let's see.
She's saying you can't pass an ordinance to create a new pilot program that's too similar to a previous pilot program? Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, which I don't agree with that at all. But I'm not gonna, why am I gonna argue with my city attorney? She normally agrees with me, why would I argue with her today? So we try to be nice to her today, but maybe she reconsiders, who knows?
If I say,
She's
excuse me, can I
speaking,
ask
no,
a
ma'am, we already,
question?
we closed public, you can, ma'am, but we closed public comment. You can go ahead, of course, ma'am.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, go
Just
ahead.
my mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. I think he can hear me. Oh, it shouldn't be 1 helmet per scooter because we have witnessed more than 3 riders per scooter. 1 adult and 2 kids.
Okay,
I live right there and it's fact.
okay, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What happens when you put 3 attorneys in a room? Look at this. See?
Give him help.
If you, we could try maybe, if you want to include the 4 days, if January 9th will be the immediate effective date, make it retro 4 days, and maybe that's how you capture your 4
Okay,
days.
okay,
If you
that works.
would like,
That works.
the
That
best
works
I
for me.
could do.
So this would be a resolution or an ordinance? What are we working on?
So we're doing 2 things.
Yes,
You will know on December 9th where the waters are if this is going to pass second reading, right?
Right.
So first reading ordinance, December 9th. Second reading ordinance, January 9th.
13th.
13th.
January 13th is the commission meeting?
So then you got-
2022.
So then you gotta take it to the.
So it's a
13th.
week, I'm bad at math,
Yeah,
4th through the.
7 days,
I mean,
yeah.
5th through the.
5th through 13th.
Right.
Yeah.
So you will know on December 9 where you are, I would think, if you discuss it, and you can do a week retro or
I
the
understand.
9 days
That
retro
works.
to capture that week. Otherwise, the program is moot for the.
I understand for 7 days, 8 days.
8
yeah,
days.
8
But
days.
the action today is a resolution.
The action today is a resolution implementing the safety measures, the times, the.
The times,
The
the-
amounts.
The action is to rescind the previous action of the.
Right, you would have to
reinstate the
rescind.
program.
Right, you reinstate the program until January 5th.
Okay, so
With
moved.
all the additional measures that we discussed. And what was the additional, there was one missing, right? What else was requested? The change of times? Of
Change of
hours?
times.
Hours,
The requirement for use of helmets.
yes.
And we also talked about the issue of operating in streets that has a posted.
The number of
speed
scooters per
limit.
area, whatever they called it.
I didn't get any specific directive from the commission what your preference would be in terms of
Or cut it in half,
the
right?
density.
Two per,
Yeah, cut it in half.
Okay?
Cut it in half.
two per vendor per block.
Yeah, two per vendor per block.
face. Could we do 9
For now.
PM? Could we do 9
What
PM?
are you cutting in half? What?
The number of scooters,
The number of scooters.
the number of scooters. Half of what they are now.
Oh, you mean the overall cap of what's in the universe? Of-
Both.
No. It's talking of the density.
We already cut it. I mean, we
It's
cut
talking
it
of the
down.
density
block.
per block.
I think it's about where they're parked.
No, where they're
It's
used.
talking of the staging on each city block that's currently 4 scooters per vendor per block.
Right.
You want to
So
reduce
two.
to 2.
The two
per
per
vendor
vendor
per
per block.
Yep, I think that's the
That's,
limitation. we're
that's
looking
what we want to do, yes.
For the time frame, I'd recommend 9 PM. People getting off work and use these to go home. I think
What time frame did you recommend?
We were thinking about 6 o'clock in the morning to 8, but we're okay with 9 p.m.
9 PM. 9 PM, it's the middle, it's compromise. We meet in the middle. That happens in government sometimes. 9 p.m. that
Where
works.
is it that they have it 10 PM? Other cities have 10
There are
PM.
some other cities that have.
No, that's fine. Other cities have 6 PM, so
Yeah,
it's
that's-
fine, 9 PM.
So
We meet in
9
the-
PM?
We meet in the middle. Most people don't work that late anyway. They can walk though from after 9 PM.
Okay, and then the streets,
Because what happens is later on at night, it opens itself up to more recreational activity, I guess.
They'd
That's
still
the
be
argument.
allowed in the streets where necessary, because I can't vote for it if it's sidewalk, if it's street-only use, I think it's too dangerous.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, but that was one of the recommendations, so.
No, we're not.
No,
Okay,
no,
got
no,
it.
that was never recommended.
So I think the-
Oh, and the slower speed,
Yeah, we currently have, I believe, 10 miles per hour and
Right.
7 miles on sidewalks.
so it's 10 now and 7.
7 on sidewalks.
That's what we
which
have
will
right
keep.
now.
Yeah,
That's fine.
okay.
That's fine. For me, I mean, I don't know.
All right, in some parts of town, we have 12.
So would it
Yes.
be? would
No,
it-
where do we have 12 miles per hour?
We had it in one of the, I believe we had it,
I believe in the Grove, I believe in the downtown area, we're down to 10. They wanted a slow speed zone. But in the Grove area, where a lot of them are in the streets, moving with traffic, we kept it at 12. Is that right, Juveno?
I want to,
South of the Rickenbacker.
Good afternoon. Juvenal Santana, Director of Public Works, Department of Resilience and Public Works. So they are capped at 12 miles per hour, but we have a special operations zone, which the boundaries were described earlier, northeast 11th Street to Chopin Plaza, which is limited to 10 miles per hour.
I would prefer there be 10 miles per hour across the board.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 10 miles across per
that's easier to enforce. If you have a flat 10 miles per
Yeah,
hour.
a flat,
Citywide,
10 miles per hour across the board, and 7 on the sidewalk.
on the sidewalks.
Yeah, that's okay with you? Yep. That works. And what other measure do we have? Littering, docking stations, any of that stuff that we can do now immediately? No.
Well, that's something that we want to look into further with the vendors to see how we can incorporate.
Oh,
that
and the
in
final
future
thing obviously
program.
is that you have to do your scoring and everything by the 15th of January, and you're going to issue your contracts,
We
right?
want to look at the new contract to have some of these additional measures, such
No,
as
it's two different
centralized
things. Well,
docking
you're
stations.
not going to do a new RFP. That doesn't happen, right? You score the people that are, the vendors that responded, and the commission comes and passes additional measures, right?
Yeah, you can do that.
That's what we're going to do. But the deadline is on you guys to do it by the 15th.
Well,
of
I don't want to
January.
speak to the procurement issue because I think
No,
it's
no,
under
no,
the
no,
cone
no.
of silence.
Well, the procurement's important because that was one of the number one things that were required. I think all people in the world, residents and vendors across the board, people need certainty. This pilot program, extension, not extending, changing, all that creates uncertainty for the residents and for the vendors.
I think we do have the procurement almost coming to an end.
I know, but we had this conversation last commission meeting. What we wanted to do was, in this resolution, we want to let you know that we want it by the 15th of January.
I'm sure they could work out the details, but I don't want to speak too much about procurement issues.
Okay,
because
so
of the
where's your,
tone of silence.
where's your procurement director then? Let's talk to her about it.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Yelisa Calderon, Assistant Director for Procurement. Annie Perez is on approved leave. How can I help you?
We want a procurement issued by January 15th.
Actually, an RFP went out
I know.
June 18, 2021.
I want awarded, I'm sorry, it's a better word.
Okay.
Awarded by
So
January 15th.
we have an evaluation committee that was approved recently, and we have a scheduled meeting for December 13th to evaluate the proposals. We received 9 proposals, and 7 of them were deemed responsive.
Right, and who were the 2 that were deemed unresponsive?
I don't know at this point, sir, but
You don't know?
I can get that information for you, yes. We're still doing due diligence, so one of the,
You just told me 2 were deemed unresponsive. I'm just curious to know, I think you should know who the 2 are.
we're still under the cone of silence as this hasn't
Okay.
been approved, so.
Oh, I thought, okay.
It's not, yeah, it's
You're
not
still in the
something.
cone of silence, okay,
Correct.
okay. So if December 13th, your selection committee meets?
Yes, sir.
You will award,
I'm sorry?
and you will award,
And then, once the evaluation committee makes a decision as to.
which is when?
December 13th.
That they make the decision that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Unless they need oral presentations, if they require further clarification on the proposals that were submitted, then they make a recommendation for award. We prepare a memo and it's sent to the city manager whom approves it.
Okay, so how can we, Ziri, how can we mandate today that they finish this entire bureaucratic process that they go through every single time
So I think
by January 15th?
the manager already made that stipulation.
He already told me he would.
Yeah, he did. He did. So we are working under the premise that this is going to be finalized as soon
Okay,
as possible.
so you're under the instruction from your manager, I'm going through him, of course, that by the 15th, you're gonna have all this done. There's no, January 15th, there's no bureaucracy, there's no more dragging it out, there's no more reevaluation, none of that stuff that you guys do in government here.
Well, sir, you know, a lot of the times our intention is to award immediately, but the proposers may have, there's a period called the protest period.
Yes, there's gonna be a
So they
protest.
may protest against the award, so
How many companies?
we have 9, but 7 have been deemed.
How many companies are you going to award?
3.
Only
Yeah.
3 companies, okay.
The RFP,
And there'll be a bid protest filed immediately, and everything will happen, right, by the other 4 companies,
that's correct.
right?
Right,
So
so
it all
I need to clarify something then on the numbers that we gave you then. I thought that this procurement was non-exclusive, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that's why I'm confused.
and ready to go. So if it's not ready to go on the January date,
13th.
January 13th date, if it's.
No, 2 different things. January 13th is a commission meeting. We can say January 13th here too, by the way.
But if it's not ready to go, then there will be a longer lag.
But we want it ready to go. That's the whole point.
No,
we're
no,
gonna
I
make-
understand, but if you have a bid protest, if
Right.
you have whatever.
And what's the process of bid protest in Miami? Is it 60 days or?
No, well, they have, once a recommendation is submitted, they have 72 hours to submit an intent to protest.
Correct.
Then they have 5 days to submit the actual protest.
Right.
And then depending on what the protest is, we move forward with the process. But we have a hearing officer that takes over the process.
Right, I know
As procurement has to become neutral. And that process may take 30 to 60 days depending on what is being protested.
Right, but statutorily, it says 60, is it 60 days statutorily? Before they make a decision, well, that's not mandated, or can we
Right.
mandate it?
Right, our process is a little different. The point is, the
Yeah,
bid
you're different here
protest
than
could
Miami-Dade
take
County.
a few, correct. It could take a few months before that's all sorted out, which would increase your lag time.
Right, but can we then come back on the January 13th meeting and extend this pilot program?
That's based on the ordinance unless you rescind your ordinance. Rescind it, and then you're good to go. Unfortunately, that's all.
I don't want to rescind
You
it
have an
because I
ordinance.
think Commissioner Reyes is correct that we shouldn't have pilot programs. Like, this was a great example. You know, pilot programs that go on, and then they become real programs, not pilot programs anymore. The whole purpose, the whole definition of pilot is pilot. So I agree with Commissioner Reyes' ordinance. So we have to figure out a way then to keep this operating with the safety measures in place. How long can we make this re-implementation? We can make it 3 months, 2 months?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
What we do today, can we do it for longer than January 13th?
So, again, and that's why I brought
The
up.
re-implementation of the program, can we do it, how long can we do it?
So that's why I brought this up when I wasn't thinking about the procurement process. If it's not ready to go,
course you have
we
to think
can't
about it.
do the retro that I suggested.
But we could do retro for how many months? In other words, can we do retro across the board for, instead of 7, 8 days, it could be 30 days? Right?
But the problem is that the procurement is still, it's not the same people that are participating now. It's a procurement that has to
Sure.
happen for
It's
you to
30 people.
have your program.
So how long can we make this program? Let me ask in simple terms.
Simple terms, January 5th,
That's it.
right? Based on your ordinance. So unless you can draft, what can happen is you draft an exception to this procurement ordinance. You would have to do that for this
On
pilot
December
program.
9th.
On December 9th. You
On
would
top
have
of
to-
that, we pass a new ordinance December 9th.
Right.
And then we go second reading January 13th.
Yes,
Then that goes into effect.
right.
Correct?
You would have to do both,
Irrespective of the length of the procurement process.
you would have to carve out an exception for this
But we could do that, we could do that here. The commission can do that.
you would do 2 readings, December 9th.
December 9th and January 13th, we can do that. So there's a way out, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? In other words.
Yes, but you
Okay.
have to legislate
So
for it.
your job, that's why you get paid all the big bucks you get paid. Your job is to figure out where that light is at the end of the tunnel. That's your job. How we do it through ordinance, first reading, second reading, how we get there, if the will of the commission, obviously. We do that, and today we just passed a resolution with the safety measures. Okay? Is that okay? You figure that out for us?
A
Commissioner Key, you're
resolution,
recognized.
Because you're going back and forth like a ping pong ball here.
Yes, we're
What-
keeping, we do that.
What you have said to us is that the pilot program must end January 5th, per the ordinance.
unless you change the ordinance.
But we cannot change the ordinance in time for January 5th.
Right, so 2 things have to happen. You would have the ordinance
December 9th.
carving out this pilot, the anti-pilot program ordinance, carving out scooters. First reading December 9th, second reading
On the 13th.
January 13th.
Right, so in other
And
words,
then you would have a second ordinance, which is the one that I described to you, a second ordinance that would be initiating, creating a final scooter program, making it retro to cover the
But that's
week.
not really feasible because we have to take into consideration that there may be a bid protest and we can't do anything while there's a bid protest. We can't award.
We can't.
We cannot, correct?
We
So
can't.
we have to figure out a way that we can extend the pilot
Correct.
program
So that was
for
the-
maybe 60 days.
Right, so that was the first ordinance I described. Right now, you have an ordinance in the books that says you cannot have a pilot program that lasts for more than a year, right? You would have to carve out, you would have to bring a new
Only
ordinance
scooters.
that, because of this scooter situation we find ourselves in, we can maintain the status quo until the new procurement is in place and the new ordinance for scooters is in place. So that's one ordinance to change the current ordinance on the books. Then the second ordinance would be the one that we're describing to just make a permanent program.
Okay.
So that's, but we have to do all those ordinances in order to,
on December 9th. Correct?
correct, for first reading.
Both for first reading, December 9th. Okay.
So
I'll
for
entertain-
today-
I will entertain a motion. You're recognized, Commissioner Russell.
Thank you. I'd like to make a
You
motion.
okay, Commissioner?
A resolution to rescind the previous action terminating the pilot program, reinstating the pilot program with the recommended safety measures as have been discussed on this dais. That's my motion.
Okay, I'll second that. I can second it, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. 3-1, it passes. We are adjourned.